Greetings, everyone. After we had a pre-E3 video, we now have a post-E3 video, as we are off to do. Lewis is working on his other projects, so we brought Clement in. Yay!
He also doesn't just give a shit about E3 entirely, so
You know,
it
he
makes total
says
sense
that,
he
but
has to
then,
keep
like,
that.
whenever he does join for Post E3, he's always the one who's yapping on the most. So I think he's just, yeah,
Happy accidents, I assure you.
probably yes. But anyway, yeah. So E3 this year was
It happened, I guess.
weird. It was one of the weirdest.
That's a great way of putting it. It happened.
Yeah.
Like, this was a very... it's just a very uneventful E3. For me personally, though. I mean,
Same here.
Some of you may be flipping their shit over a few things, and happy for you, but...
I think even people who do have a couple of things they would flip their shit over can still probably agree that this is definitely one of the weaker E3s in quite a few years.
Yes. In general, I would say, like, even though there were a few things that I personally got pretty excited for, I don't think anybody had a great conference, like a plus amazing conference this year. I don't think anybody had one. There
Yeah.
were a few small things, like there were individual titles that I'm super excited for, but as a whole, yeah, I mean, maybe we shouldn't get too invested in a week-long commercial for video games, but we do, and that's just how life is, so,
Yep.
yeah.
Because who knows what they might reveal.
Yeah.
But I guess starting out with last Saturday of all days,
E3
so
day
I get
negative,
2.
-2. Ugh. I hate E3.
I know technically the show floor doesn't open until Tuesday, which is what technically day 1 is, but Monday is when the press conferences usually all were, so that was always day 1 to everyone.
Yeah, but now they're all on like Thursday and
It's becoming Black Friday, people. So starting off was EA.
Alright, so this was one of the conferences that I just flat out fucking missed, and...
You wouldn't be
I had a
blamed for
feeling
doing so.
Well, that's why I wasn't feeling too bad about it. I feel like it's EA. I mean, I mean, it's a shame that I say that. It's EA. They're probably not going to impress me because it's probably going to be sports related or something like that. I'm just not going to have
And it
much
totally
interest in what they
was.
sure. And it turns out, yeah, I did not miss much from what I've heard, and I haven't bothered going back to watch it. And so my opinions on things are going to be very minimal for this. But then again, I've always never have anything really to say for EA. So, what did they show? I mean,
Well, thanks to Clement and his super detailed notes that we have. Yay!
I like to
you,
come
Clement.
prepared.
it was
Okay,
weird though.
it-
In terms of the presentation itself, it felt like they were trying to be Ubisoft but doing really really bad. Like we'll get to
They
Ubisoft
spent
in a
way-
minute,
yeah.
but they were really boring because they weren't silly Ubisoft. But EA was like trying to be corny like Ubisoft normally is, and they couldn't do it. Basically, is what happened.
And they spent about 60 to 70% of their airtime besides Star Wars at the end was sports, which I have to say again, I don't see the need to show these so much at E3 when people say, "Oh, it's their big money makers. They have to show." It's like I get that, but at the same time, most people probably don't watch E3, and most of them are probably going to buy the yearly sports release anyways because that's just what they do. So why do you push it so much?
I will say,
Well-
though, that I think it's interesting now that sports have gone into the same thing that, like, fighting games have done now, where now each sports game has a story mode.
Except here's the problem, though. At least fighting games can have really stupid, enjoyable story modes.
Yeah.
Sports stories are probably the most predictable and standard stories you could ever do. And even when you're trying to subvert, the team wins at the end by having them not win, that's still a cliche. So what are you going to do here? It's like, oh, we have a story mode for Madden. Yeah, and Friday Night Lights already exists.
Well, I will say, again, them trying to be Ubisoft, they start off the fucking conference by having a
do
Madden
you like
from
YouTubers?
line coming out with Patriots.
And they're all wearing Tom Brady jerseys.
Yeah, so...
Guys, you gotta stop celebrating the Super Bowl. Come on.
No, if you live around here, nobody will shut up about that until, 3 Super Bowls later, and then the Patriots will just win again, and it never ends. So yeah.
Cheater.
Oh, whatever. Like, but anyway, yeah. Here's the thing. I get why they need to show it, but like, here's the thing. I don't expect an EA conference without spending some time on Madden.
No, sometimes, sure, I get that, but why does it take up the vast majority of your conference the last number of years? You don't need to do that.
Well, part of it's because that's the vast majority of what they've been making, is the thing. Like, I guess it would...
Quote unquote making.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think I would mind so much if it was like a 3-4 minute stinger of like Madden 2018, brand new hair textures, so, and then they jump from like Madden to FIFA to NBA like one after the other. It's like, okay, you do need to show those things technically.
That would be fine with me. It's just you don't need to spend this much time on it. They're going to buy it anyway.
Yeah, but if we look at the list that you made for us, outside of sports games, there was Battlefield, Need for Speed,
which is
A
now having
Way Out, and Star Wars. That's 4 games, and that's not very many games.
Yeah,
and
Battlefield 1 isn't even a new. Yeah, and Battlefield 1 isn't even a new game. It's just an expansion.
Yeah, Do
you like, as he said, do you like Twitch streamers? Do you like YouTubers? We're hip. We're with it.
Oh man,
I felt bad during the Need for Speed Payback intro because they had a YouTuber who I'm not really familiar with. But he obviously had huge stage fright, because, like, this is how he introduced the name of the game. He's like, I hope you're ready for Need for Speed, Payback.
Yeah, he clearly looked uncomfortable, and it showed.
Yeah, he wasn't even, he's not even really exaggerating too much there either. He was very, very nervous. It felt like they hadn't rehearsed at all, actually, because a lot of weird mistakes happened. Was it EA where the guy forgot his own name?
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
Oh yeah, for the prison game. Okay, well that's like the one kind of interesting thing they showed outside of Star Wars was the prison game A Way Out, where it's basically Shawshank Redemption, New Super Mario Brothers style, pretty much. So, like you're trying to break.
Andy Dufresne grabbed a shitload of coins.
Yeah, but basically it's like a story mode. It's like a story game where you have to play in co-op is the thing. Like you can't play it single player at all.
And apparently it will always be split screen. Like
split screen, even online.
Even online.
Yeah, and there was also things like one person can be in a cutscene and the other person can be moving around, which will end up with situations where one person's in a serious cutscene and the other person's like doing backflips in the background, like trying to look as stupid as possible. I can see that happening already, but I mean, it looked interesting. I just
gameplay wise, it's like, okay, you do very standard sneaking, you do very standard shooting, you do very standard driving. It's like it looks fine, but aside from the co-op of it, I don't see the point gameplay-wise.
It kind of felt like a co-op heavy rain, I guess is the best way that I could describe it, where it's like, okay, this does look interesting, but it's not a game I think I would feel the need to play. It's a game that at most I feel like I'd watch a Let's Play of. That's really one of the big problem with these cinematic quotation marks games is that
we'll get to David Cage.
We'll get to David Cage, but they're basically movies, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it kind of lessens, personally speaking, it lessens my incentive to want to play it because I don't feel like I need to play it to get the full experience, whereas if you're taking something like a fighting game or like almost any other genre, I do feel like I need to play it myself to get the full experience. I enjoy Let's Plays, but it's not the same thing, whereas this, I feel like it would be the same thing, so, But, I mean, I will give the game credit for it actually looked relatively very ambitious, I will say. Not even relatively. It looked very ambitious. And
for a smaller indie studio, they say anyway.
Yeah, but the fact that there was something like that on EA's main stage, where that was, when you're looking at their list, that's the only thing that doesn't have a recognizable name on it, you know. I appreciate them at least trying to tout out something like that, but it still sort of fell flat a little bit.
And knowing EA, they're not going to push it at all.
Probably
after this.
Not. No, I can't imagine it getting a big amount of screen time anywhere else.
So after all the sports and the one interesting thing we got, Star Wars Battlefront 2, also known as the game we should have gotten last time.
AKA Star Wars Battlefront 2
Battlefront. Yes.
on PS2.
The title's accurate.
You can be a droid in Star Wars now. Holds up the PlayStation 2 box.
So I never played Battlefront 2. Like, can you still play that online on the PC or something? Or,
I'm sure there are fan servers.
okay. Yeah, so I know that Battlefront 1 got a lot of flack. It was mostly for lack of content, right? That was the big
There was
thing.
content?
Okay, the big thing I know is that there was no story mode, and so they were like at the beginning of the trailer, it was just like story mode, and I'm like, good job, EA, you put in a story mode. Welcome back to 1999. Okay, good job, guys, good job. But
It's like, oh, this story is also going to be canon, because Lucasfilm gave us their blessings. Like, you know what was also canon? A ton of other Star Wars games before they got rid of the expanded universe.
yeah, it's not canon in any way that matters, and your multiplayer matches sure aren't canon, because last time I checked, Rey and Darth Maul haven't fought yet. So, on Naboo, for that matter, so...
During the Clone Wars.
It's like, I was watching, the gameplay after the event, as they went on, after their whole big demonstration, and it looks good. But it's a matter of, you burned me last time, so I'm going to wait and see how it turns out before I go out and think about getting it.
Did you buy Battlefront 1?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because I know it's EA, and they're liable to screw everyone over with their practices, and that's exactly what happened. So even though this looks like a significant improvement, I already played Battlefront 2 back on the older systems, and, you burned me last time, I'm not going to trust you until it comes out.
Yeah, so... it probably will be. I can't imagine it being, terrible. But the big thing you were comparing it to on Twitter and stuff was Battlefront 2 back in, the 2000s. And it's like,
yeah.
Okay, I guess the big question is, will this be better than that? Or will this be mostly the same as that? And if it is mostly the same as that, are people going to want to play... are people going to want to shell out $60 for essentially just a shinier version of a 10-year-old game, I guess, is the big question. And I'm sure some people will, just so that they can get Force Awakens and Rogue One stuff and all of that, or just to play it online with an active user base, or we'll see how active it is in the future. But I'm sure that'll be enough for some people. But I guess for online games like this specifically, you want to know whether or not it's going to be dead within a month, I think, is also
that depends entirely on EA.
That depends entirely on EA. Oh, well, one thing I will say that is good is that they did announce that they were going to be supporting the game with free content for...
yes, but it also has microtransactions.
Well, free is still free, I guess.
EA gave it to EA, take it away.
Yeah, but I'm saying this sounds super cynical, but I kind of expected microtransactions to be in that kind of game. So the fact that you are getting new stuff on a semi-regular basis, granted, you might still have to shell out an extra $15 if you want a specific skin or something, but at least you're getting something for free. If you turn on the game after a month, there will be at least a few new things to keep you playing for more than an hour. So, that's nice, I suppose. And the gameplay did look fine from what I watched after the conference. They played basically a full match afterwards, because they were going to spend a half an hour on the thing. That was a third of their entire presentation time was Battlefront.
Because it's all they have.
John, did you look up anything regarding EA's conference, or did you just basically skip it entirely?
I skipped it entirely because at one point I was busy working on a video, and secondly, I just, again, it's overly cynical, but EA never really interests me in what they offer in products, even though I am a Star Wars fan, and I know plenty of people that are into the sports and all that sort of stuff, so I'm happy for them more, but me personally, I just don't give a shit.
The sports games are like McDonald's and Coke at this point. Everyone knows they exist, so why do you bother advertising?
Well, because they still sell.
Yeah, basically. You need to be reminded that they're there. one of those like
that's like asking why do you advertise movies we know everyone's going to watch? Well, that's just the way it is.
yeah, you probably wouldn't need to
it still makes me ask the question.
Yeah, they do it because I don't know, subliminal advertising, capitalism taking over our brains, fight the power sheeple. I don't know.
Even at
Yeah.
Yeah, but they do it because they feel obligated to. I think is the big thing. So
I guess.
yeah.
So I guess we don't have anything else to talk about EA for.
Nope.
Yeah, it's like the only game I would want to try is Star Wars Battlefront. I don't really care about any of the others at all. And again, like you guys said, I'm just waiting on reviews when it comes out to see if it actually has lots of content, because they said it's going to be like 3 times the content of the first game. And if it is...
It's like, well, 3 times 0.1 is still 0.3.
But if it gets good reviews and a lot of people like it, I'll give it a shot. But yeah.
Yeah. Until then, no.
Approach with caution.
Yep. All right, so I guess we're going to move on to Microsoft then.
They were the first one I had to miss because I had a family event at the time.
They were the first big ones. Can we please stop leading off with EA, E3? Can we just put them to the side and pretend they don't exist?
At least have them after Ubisoft. Like,
or at least after one of the main 3.
Yeah, that, because EA is like, okay, you just feel like you have to watch because it's the first one. But nobody, I think, ends up enjoying it. So having Microsoft or
they probably pay for that spot, though. That's what it is,
probably.
So, yeah, Xbox. We have another new system. The Scorpio is now the X...
in quotes. It's their PS4 Pro.
Yes, that's exactly what exactly what everyone called it would be.
Yeah.
We now have, instead of Project Scorpio, it's now called the Xbox One X. Which we already have the Xbox One S, and that's totally not going to cause tons of confusion for parents during the holiday season.
No, there's going to be so many angry kids this Christmas. I can tell you that.
Especially when the S is like half the price of the X.
Yeah, it's just going to be like,
if you're
Mom,
like
no,
below
I wanted
the age
the
of 10.
Yeah,
if you want it below the age of 10, you write that shit down. Don't pronounce it to your family. Don't say S. Just put X, like a giant fucking X, next to that Xbox One, so your parents cannot possibly be confused, because, oh my god, that's going to be a nightmare.
Here I have this Xbox, and an Xbox comes in an Xbox. Now we have an Xbox One and an Xbox One Xbox. Now we have an Xbox One X and an Xbox.
Oh, man. Yeah.
It's a really stupid name, I'm sorry, it just is.
It's like a Matryoshka doll of Xbox consoles, and one pops open and the other one just comes out of it, another one just comes out of it, another one comes out of it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really give it praise for is that, it looks small. I'll give it that. That's an improvement.
I'm wondering, the back of my mind, and someone on Twitter confirmed with it, I want to see how that console size comparison to the original Xbox Duke. I want a size comparison. Is the Duke actually bigger than this son of a bitch?
I mean, they called it the smallest Xbox, so I imagine it has to be.
Yeah. I need to test that out. That's probably the only reason why I'd actually buy it, because, again, I'm not convinced for this console, because a lot of games, I think, most if not all of the games they demonstrated today in that conference.
Everything they showed was graphics.
Well, not even that. You can also get it on PC.
Yep.
I have a PC.
That's always been Xbox's main problem. They never have exclusives to make you want to actually buy their system.
Yeah, if it's
compared,
not PC,
compared
it's
to
also
other
PS4,
avenues.
So, if you really want the console experience,
Yeah, it's like, we'll get to it later, but, the announced Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's like, well, that's a Japanese franchise. There's no way in hell that's going to be Xbox only.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stuff that would be, even just PC and Microsoft exclusive, Microsoft exclusive in general. There's Sea of Thieves, which is the Rare game. That Lucky game, that's it, Cuphead.
And I'm sure those will be on PC as well, so again, kind of what's the point?
Yeah, so...
The only other thing is that we're pushing 4K everywhere. It's like, but most people don't have a 4K TV, so that's another expense on top of your really expensive console.
Okay, so to be fair for that...
4K is going... 4K is becoming a little more prominent, though.
A little bit, but at the same time, I look at it, I've seen it on, stores for, at Fry's or something. It's like, I can see a little bit of an improvement, but not enough to make me want to buy a brand new TV for it.
To be fair, though...
And the same goes for Xbox X or a PS4 Pro. I don't see that big enough difference to warrant actually doing any of it.
Well, people said the same thing back when the PS3 and Xbox 360 were coming out, though. It's just like, I don't want to have to buy another $2,000 TV in order to play this new
Well,
system.
no,
And even then, 4K TVs are not even that high expensive anymore. Mine, the one I have downstairs, the 60+ inch, costs less than $1,000.
that's still that's still another expense on top of it for a lot of people.
I'm just saying that 4K televisions are becoming more prominent than we give them
We'll
credit
get
for.
we'll get there, yes, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's as big as of a jump as SD 4x3 to high definition TVs, which yes were expensive, but everyone knew that was definitely what everyone was
No.
going to be going to. So there
No,
was reason to do it.
I'll give you that. But it's just that they see a new resolution. It's so good that it's illegal. 'Cause here comes the police. But it's just them just trying to capitalize on that, and because people love bigger numbers. 4K sounds way sexier than 1080p. So in them, it's all numbers, technology. We've been through this rodeo before.
That's the thing. They've been talking about it through the entire conference, but it's like, okay, it looks better slightly, I guess.
I think
that doesn't affect my gameplay really. So we showed off Forza Motorsport 7. Yep, that's a racing game. It looks really nice, but it's a racing game.
I think what would ease the pain a little bit for people, because again, you can't expect everybody to, because we'll get to the price later, but the Xbox One X is $500. So like
$599.
Yeah.
$499.
But so like if you want, let's say you already own an HD TV and you want the full Xbox One X experience, so you want to upgrade to a 4K TV. Let's say, just for argument's sake, that the cheapest decent one you can get is $800. So that's $1,300 already. That is, like Ryan said, a major financial investment. Like that's the fuck lot of money. So I think what would help is if there was something in the Xbox One X aside from just running in 4K, because that seemed to be the biggest thing for me. Was again, I didn't watch
I mean, they said it runs faster, but then again, that remains to be seen because tech demos and all that.
Yeah, so I don't know if there was some other kind of thing, and this would have also, like, if they did do this, it would run the risk of being gimmicky like the Kinect or something. But if there was something else to it that made it seem more
Useful.
More appealing to people who don't own a 4K TV yet. The price point, I think, is we'll get to that more later, but for people who don't have an Xbox One already, like, they're probably gonna want to get the better version, but again, that price point is so high.
It's twice as much as the next best one at $250, I think, was right now, is for the S.
Yeah, so it's gonna...
So you're not going to be losing anything by getting an S, really.
You're gonna be saving like $250, which is a lot of money. So
yeah, that's like almost 5 games right there.
Yeah, so either the price had to come down for the Xbox One X. Oh man, it's already getting hard to... For the Xbox One Xbox, it either the price had to be like, I'd say at least like $350 or $400. That would have made it a little bit easier to swallow for non-4K owning people already. Or
the problem is, I think they're already going to be taking a huge hit with that to begin with. Based on the
I saw an
technology
article today that said that they're already selling the Xbox One X at a loss. So that just goes to show, they probably aren't kidding when they say that it's got like 50 million teraflops of RAM or whatever the hell tech mumbo jumbo there.
Yeah, it literally sucks money away.
Yeah, like I know that it probably is a damn fine piece of hardware, and if you already own a 4K TV, great, but I don't see as much incentive for the hardware itself for people to jump, like, especially if you already own an Xbox One. I see no incentive for you to shell out the extra cash for the next one, because your trade-in value just plummets whenever they announce a new version of the system. So
yeah, it's the PlayStation 3 problem again, only this time it's on Microsoft, and they never ever came close to matching the amount of exclusives Sony had, which is eventually what saved the system later down the road. And I don't know, man. It's like I don't want the thing to fail, but it's like there is really no incentive for me to buy this thing.
Yeah,
because you already have an Xbox One, so
yeah.
I mean, we're also at the point where game graphics are a massive diminishing returns, where it's 4K, yeah, but Final Fantasy 15 on my PS4 looks perfectly fine to me.
Honestly, I think that the new thing that's going to be pushed is VR. And we'll get to that, especially when we get to Sony. We'll talk about VR. But, like, I think that if there's going to be anything that sees us, that actually, I've never used VR myself, but I think they're going to keep on pushing that like they pushed HD. And I think that at the end of the day, VR, because again, like, buying a PlayStation VR is like, what, $300 at this point? That's less expensive than getting a new 4K TV or an Xbox One S or whatever. And
at least that's something new.
At least it is. It feels more new than just a resolution bump. So
I don't know. Part of me.
Oh, I'm super skeptical about VR as well, and I'll bitch about that when we get to Sony. But
a part of me just feels it's going to be another 3D TV stint.
It could be,
because those didn't last very long.
That very much could be the case too. But unfortunately, like, you can't really see where technology is going to go. It just kind of happens, and you deal with it. Like. So, but let's.
I want to say the conference overall, I think, meandered in the first half. It was kind of like
it was a lot of been there, done that, because Forza is Forza with their new Porsche 911. Here, it's this new car that none of you can afford.
Was that the car that they put out on the stage itself?
Yeah.
It
was some Porsche things. It's like, here, we're this brand new debut of this awesome car that no one in the audience or watching online can afford.
Well, they must think that they're able to afford it if they think that they can price the Xbox One X at $499. Let's be real, though.
No, I just love the image of when they swiveled the car around. Someone posted the image of the car built for Homer instead of the Porsche.
Yeah. The Homer.
This thing costs
$82,000. That probably is how much the fucking Porsche costs, though. For being real here.
Oh, of course it is. Like,
you can buy like 3 Xbox One X's with that money.
And that's without the leather seats, built-in stereo, or seatbelts.
4K leather seats.
But if anyone's played Simpsons Hit and Run, that was the legit best car in the game.
Yes, it was. I played like cucaracha when you hit the horn. So next up we have Assassin's Creed's Origins.
Okay, so
with its $800 super duper awesome limited edition bundle thing.
What the fuck is that about? Like, was that real?
Yes, it's real. It comes with like a hawk amulet and like a really high quality statue of the main character.
Does it actually come with like an actual hunting hawk?
No.
Okay, so
Ubisoft has always been terrible with merchandise. I remember when Watch Dogs came out, they had like Aiden Pierce's trademark jacket and hat, and that was like over $1,000, and I was like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Like, that statue better be made out of like solid platinum, because for $800 you could get 3 first 4 figure statues for that much money. And
yeah, those are going to be big. Those are going to be bigger than this.
Yeah. So, man, I mean, I don't really have much to say about Assassin's Creed. Like,
it looks like Assassin's Creed, but in ancient Egypt, and if they're not playing children's card games, I'm just not interested.
Well, this was something that they brought up at Ubisoft, where it's just like, Assassin's Creed has been around for 10 years, and I'm like, it's been only 10 years? It feels like it's been around for so much longer. Because, like, I remember, like, back when the franchise started, like, it looked like an interesting game. Like, it's like, oh, this is pretty unique. Oh, you can climb on stuff. Oh, you're trying to assassinate people. And then, like, 5 years later, it's everywhere, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the only game that Ubisoft can make that they are sure will make money. That just has to be the case. So,
when the title was announced, Assassin's Creed Origins, I thought they already used that subtitle. Like, there's been so many games, like Revelation, Syndicate, Rogue, Unity. I thought for sure Origins had already been used up to this point. So when they used Origins, I was like, is this a sequel? Spin-off? Wait. Oh, that hasn't been used? Huh.
It is a pretty basic subtitle for a game or just piece of media otherwise. So it's completely understandable that you think that way.
And they showed a bit of game.
I mean, I'm sorry, man. I just that I'm not interested.
It looks like Assassin's Creed, which, okay, fine, but...
And how the fuck does the hawk work? I mean,
I don't know.
You throw it up in the air, and you throw it... It's a drone, but he can't see through the hawk's eyes.
Ancient Egyptian drone technology.
These games have supernatural elements. Who knows? Maybe assassins are bonded with eagles in that way.
Okay,
I don't know.
All right, that's fine.
I mean, and at the end of the first game, after he spent so much time in the Animus, he could all of a sudden see hieroglyphic writings in his jail cell, and he's like, what the hell? So, they just
the
have powers.
Take place in the future. Yeah, people care about that part. right?
In the future.
I played that series
far
for
distant
5
future,
games. I got all the way to
2012.
3, and once 3 did not have a satisfactory conclusion to Desmond's
Anything.
story. Yeah, I gave up on it because they just kept releasing a game after game after game, and it's like I don't want to buy all these. I'm bored of it. I don't want to play this game anymore. You know.
Like, I think
Yeah, I speaking as someone who's never played a game, well, not played much of them because I have sampled a couple of them, but it's just, I think just from a public perception, that it needs to take a break. Like maybe.
Well, the thing
2,
is, they
3
did
years
take a
at
break.
most.
This
Yeah,
is they're coming back from the break.
We'll take another break.
well, they only took a year off. It's just it feels like it feels like that's been really, really short. Because again, Assassin's Creed's an interesting idea. I just think it ballooned way too quickly. Like, if we were honest, if this was like Assassin's Creed 3 or 4 that they were announcing right now, I think people would be stoked because the game itself looks fine. It doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it. People's faces aren't falling off like that other one. Where the
French
face-
one.
So far,
Yeah, so far.
Yeah, that's that we know. Yeah.
So, it's just, I don't know if well, again, I'm not super in touch with like the Assassin's Creed fan base, but at least as an outsider, I don't see, other than the setting changing, I don't see much gameplay-wise changing from game to game. Like, the last one that looked interesting gameplay-wise was the one where you had the ships, and it was the Revolutionary War.
We'll get to pirates eventually.
Oh, no, there were so much pirates this year. But,
Yar, fiddly-dee.
uh,
Is that guy a pirate? Are you a pirate?
Pirates are in this year.
Pirates are in this year.
Okay, next up was Metro Exodus, which I kind of took a look as. Well, one, a lot of the animations were bullshit because you could tell when he was reloading, but
that was entirely scripted. That whole demo.
yeah.
Did
The
they
other
do
part is
fake
like,
game
oh,
chat?
it. No,
no?
thankfully not.
Okay, good.
Well, we'll get to that, but also it's like, oh, hi, Xbox Last of Us. But with with like
I had a few
werewolves.
I had a couple of people that were pretty excited for this game.
No. I hear the Metro games are good. It's just, well, okay, that's probably not coming out for a while because that was completely scripted. So,
Yeah, I had not played a Metro game ever. I can only go with what Elliot tells me, and he says it's a pretty good video game. So he was pretty stoked for it.
But now there are werewolf things and trains.
Oh, I looking forward to. Actually, I don't give a shit. I'm sorry.
I just saw the
So,
rats, and I was just reminded of Parasite Eve.
Yeah.
The first enemy you face off with in Parasite Eve is like this rat, and then it just like expands and turns into this monster rat. And it's actually one of the grossest like PS1 FMV cutscenes I've ever seen.
And then you shoot it like 3 times and it's dead.
Yeah, but I remember at the time it was like, oh my god, that rat's fucking eyes are peeling off. Ah!
Those are some good games. I wish they would bring that back, but oh well. I guess moving on, we have Dwarf Fortress Underground.
Deep Rock Galactic.
Galactic. Yeah, that the only reason they're dwarves, you can tell, is because they want to try to get you to remember it.
Wait, is this actually Dwarf Fortress, or are you just joking?
No, but I'm just joking.
Okay.
It breaks open the wall, and all the Starship Troopers bugs come out. It's like, damn it, Verstukuks.
It's hard to get excited because it's just a lot of guys in armor with chain guns fighting Starship Trooper bugs underground, and
And they're mining, I guess.
yeah. I don't know. Might be fun, but it didn't look appealing to me.
What was?
Yeah, again, this is the point of this. We're at the conference part where everything sort of meandered. It wasn't exactly wowing me. Like, yeah, they're definitely games, but it's like I feel no reason to buy them, including like State of Decay 2.
What even was that? I can't even remember what that was.
It was the Xbox One game that looked like it belonged on a PS3 or 360, like early.
Oh, is that the
PS3,
one where they were like
360.
talking, but their faces weren't moving at all?
Dude, everything was jank. Like it's jank the video game.
Oh yeah, and they're
animations were
trying to be like
stiff.
super deep about will you let them live or will you kill this person to save your colony or whatever. It's like, dude, this was on Steam like 8 years ago.
It's the Walking Dead Sims edition.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't put it that way.
High five the zombie into not attacking you.
It's like you have to build up fortifications, you have to get food to survive. I guess you have to choose whether you can cure people who get bit by zombies, and They're fat zombies who can rip you in half real quick.
Boomer.
So I don't know what State of Decay plays like. I never played the first one, but it's basically trying to
Just
go...
the visuals look really, really bad.
It's just going for like a simulation type zombie experience where you're building a community and you have to put up fortifications for your base, and yeah.
I could see that being interesting, but goddamn, do a better job presenting it. Next we have the Darwin Project, which here's more esports, because that was another running theme through E3, trying to be esports for everything.
Esports. Every single conference I realized did that, even Nintendo with their tournaments for Splatoon and whatever, but...
It was just funny because like they start off with like the CG trailer of like these people in the snow, and there's like a stealth archer who kills a guy, and then all of a sudden the lights black out and this guy pops out, and now I'm just gonna go after him with an archer, and he's gonna shoot this bow at it, and it's like, whoa! Where did that
Calm
come
down,
from?
buddy. Yeah.
So there really was that much to say about it.
It's a Hunger Games type, deathmatch game. I don't really know what else to say about it.
Commentators came out of fucking nowhere, though, to be honest. It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
What? It's like, what is... What? Why?
Yeah, I don't remember any of the gameplay, just the guy randomly showing up and yelling at everyone.
Buy the fucking game, please! Oh.
Well, next up we have Microsoft's obligatory appearance of Minecraft.
That's like the one
Just-
property they own now that they feel like they can show, that like people will get excited about. It's like, look, Minecraft, it's the same game since 2008.
By the way, Microsoft, stop trying to make credit for it. You didn't make it.
Well, whatever, they own it now, so...
Yeah.
I don't know, has the...
Minecraft in 4K. Looks no
The
different.
blocks.
Okay,
It's also got
Minecraft-
crossplay, so now you can play with people on their phones, people on the Switch. Like, they actually showed a Switch in the trailer and everything.
Which was hilarious considering it's Microsoft's conference.
so, Minecraft people in the comments, you should answer this for me. Has the game changed, like, at all since it became paid? Like, ever? Because as far as I can tell, it's basically the same thing. So, I mean, it's great that they're porting it to new stuff. Like, sure, it's great if you want to play Minecraft on your toaster, you can, and that's awesome. But maybe, I don't know.
But it has the super duper graphics pack that now has a lighting engine, but still looks exactly the same otherwise.
Like, maybe make Minecraft 2. I don't know what you'd do with a Minecraft 2, but I don't know how much you can. Now, like, Minecraft's been ported to more things than Rayman 2, and I didn't even think that was possible. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to really care about Minecraft. I'm not the kind of gamer who likes it, because Terraria is better. Oops, I didn't say that. Nope, not me.
But the kids like to watch the Mewtwo's with the Minecraft people.
Hello, welcome to part 124 of my Minecraft Let's Play.
124, you're being generous.
124, fucking scrub.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't get into it until it came out until it came out on PS3. All right, jeez.
Come on, BrainScratch, I want you to play Minecraft. Get to Minecraft.
No.
No, I'm sorry. It's never happening.
Well, here's where things started to get a bit more interesting for Microsoft, because they were a bit more rapid fire, and they actually started showing games that they're not really known for, which is a good thing, because we started out with Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Take that, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
The way the title is arranged, I can't help but pronounce it as Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Z is just like right next to Fighters there. But in a Microsoft conference of all things, I would not expect them to like give this any time of the day.
I mean, I'm glad they show it, but as I mentioned earlier, it's a Japanese property. There's no way it's going to be Xbox only.
Yeah, but holy fuck, though. Talk about a fighter I am 120% excited for.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Because it looks amazing. Like, this is the Dragon Ball Z fighting game I've been waiting for since Budokai 3.
Yeah, Budokai 3 was the last 2D one.
When did that game come out?
Well, no, if we're being technical, Dragon Ball Z Infinite World on the PS2 and the other games was a Budokai game. It just wasn't called Budokai. And from what I remember, it wasn't held in the same regard because it just didn't do much different.
But the last ones were on late PS2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
I mean, there's been tons of
been
3D Dragon Ball games, but like I found with my friends, it's always hard to sell them on those. Like I got Budokai Tenkaichi, I got Xenoverse and Xenoverse 2, and anytime I showed that to my friends, there's always this long explanation you have to give to your friend where it's like, okay, you have to lower and raise your character by pushing the left analog stick in. If you want to do a Kamehameha, you have to hold L2 and then you have to push triangle. If you push triangle without holding L2, you shoot a key blast. And like, there are so many things about the 3D games that just aren't, like, I don't know, easy, like casual friendly kind of fighters.
And they're not very good fighters to begin with.
No.
They're kind of just button mashy.
Especially with Xenoverse's case, where it really depends on the customization of who's going to have the upper hand in those fights. It's very RPG like that. But this looks like a fun 2D Dragon Ball game that's going to be simple and easy to play. And we'll get to this with Sony, but this is kind of being the Marvel vs. Capcom killer as well. Because it's a 3 versus 3.
Everyone's hyped about Dragon Ball. Everyone's hyped about Dragon Ball, and everyone's ignoring Marvel vs. Capcom.
It's a 3
Mind
versus
you, Marvel
3.
vs. Capcom. Sorry, go on.
It's a 3 versus 3 game, so like you can tag in other characters. Like while you're fighting someone, Vegeta can come in and shoot like a Gallic Gun blast, or you can do like all these crazy combos. It looks exactly like how Marvel vs. Capcom is played. So, and with how lackluster Infinite has been appearing on the PS4, a lot of people are seeing this as their replacement, the real Marvel. Like, when's Dragon Ball? You know. People want to play that right now because it looks like the Marvel they want to play, whereas Infinite's... I'll get to that when we get to Sony, but...
Yeah, we'll get to Infinite.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's made by a developer that I know I sure as shit can trust.
Yeah,
Arc System, they did Blaze Blue and Persona Arena,
and Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
And Guilty Gear, yeah.
And those are legit
their games
fighters.
are known for being very tight, and very good looking.
Yeah. My only concern I would have with the game is combining 3-on-3 action with how fucking dazzling Dragon Ball Z-S battles can be, especially with beam struggles and all that. I'm wondering if it might be a little too chaotic for its own worth. But then I see just everything move in action, and I just kind of forget about that. Because, goddamn, I want to play this game so badly.
Yep.
And did we get a release date for it?
Early next year.
Early next year. Okay, so we got a bit of a wait before we get it, but day one, without a doubt.
Same here.
I am getting this day one.
As someone who's not huge into Dragon Ball Z, and just I'm not very good at fighting games in general, I don't see myself picking this up. Like, if I'm really the only fighting game outside of Smash Brothers that I really have a huge interest in at the moment is Tekken. And Tekken
that
7
just came out.
So, but I mean, the Marvel vs. Capcom comparison, I don't know. Like, it kind of bothers me as somebody who cares about Marvel and Capcom characters, but doesn't really care about Dragon Ball. Like, I don't know, like the maybe this is just, me being a scrub and not really knowing too much about fighters, but I don't feel like one is a replacement for the other. It's like, okay, like, yeah, this is looks like a really good Dragon Ball fighting game, but what if I don't care about Dragon Ball? What if I care about Marvel and Capcom? So, I don't know.
Well, then at that point, you just get Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Yeah.
I mean, if it doesn't float your boat, you just get the other one. That's it.
Yep.
I mean, because me personally, I mean, we're going to talk about Infinite soon, but I'm getting both anyway, because I love the Marvel vs. Capcom series, and I want to support it, and I'm hoping it gets better as the months pass, but...
No more Booker.
There's nothing wrong with getting one over the other. Shit, I mean, people are doing that for years with Tekken and Street Fighter. So
yeah.
Oh, is that the
whatever.
Pixel 3D thing?
What the heck is Black Desert the Morpega?
It looked like a Final Fantasy game, only it wasn't Final Fantasy, and it's an MMO game, so I don't know.
Very, it's very Elder Scroll-esque MMO. You get dragons and medieval setting. If I remember this game correctly. Okay, I mean, I'm already dedicated. My life is dedicated to Final Fantasy 14, so this is nothing for me.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Final Fantasy, except it's not Final Fantasy, and I don't know, there's not much there. It's just, it's a trailer. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. It's more. Yeah. Now, the last night, this game, took me by surprise because I really like the visual art style for it. It's like 3D environments with 3D with pixel art for characters. And I think, given the environment, I think they did a really good job blending both elements together to make well, I'm not sure if it's unique or not, but a visually distinct title. And just from that alone, I think it looks interesting, and I want to give it a shot. I'm just hoping it's not like a mind fuck of a game, like Hotline Miami.
All right, we're gonna have to take a quick break. My Audacity kind of froze on me, so it's a little bit behind or so. So we're gonna take a quick break just to export what we have, just so I'm not confused as to where my Audacity is.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. We're back. Stealthful cutaway. So back to Microsoft, we had the artful escape, as Clement put it, as Waldo runs in a spacesuit. I mean, it looks good, but I don't know what the game is the thing.
At one point, he rocks a mad guitar.
So is this like Doug's imagination, the game?
He runs to the right, and that's the game, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Maybe it's like a game with has a time limit incorporated. You have to get to one point or another in a strict amount of time, something like that. I
guess.
I don't even remember this game.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those. It was one of those things they showed, but also didn't do anything with.
Yeah, it was during the sizzle reel, if I remember.
Yes.
So they didn't spend much time on it in the first place.
It was at this point they started releasing a lot of small trailers, so things kind of came and went really quick.
Yeah, which I believe goes the same for Code Vein. Again, I don't remember.
I saw Bandai Namco, and being that it's super anime, nope, that's not going to be Xbox only.
Yeah, it's most likely a time exclusive for Microsoft,
if at all.
Yeah,
which again I seriously doubt, because the Xbox does about as well as boxed cancer in Japan.
And Code Vein looked like some kind of Dark Souls type-ish game.
Which is fine, but...
judging by the combat, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, from this was actually something I saw a little bit of after the fact. It did basically look like anime Dark Souls, so cool, I guess.
Which is fine, but it's not. It's which is fine. Looks cool and all, but that's not going to be an Xbox only game, and we all know it.
So, I mean, to be fair, a lot of the stuff that they'd show at Sony or whatever, isn't going to be Sony exclusive either. So
no, but at least Sony has enough exclusives to back up showing other games.
I guess, but yeah. So anyway, next was Sea of Thieves.
Yar, fiddly-dee.
So many pirates. So did that game
Pirates
look
everywhere.
good still or not?
It looks good. It looks fine. I mean, it's a little over-reliant on the co-op part, I think. At least as far as seemingly getting things done, but I think that's kind of the point, so it's not that big of a deal.
I mean, it's got personality.
Yeah, which is good.
Which I would expect from Rare, but it just gameplay-wise, I just wasn't very captivated. I mean, they almost had me when he launched himself out of the cannon, but again, like last year, which granted didn't show much there, but I'm passing on this. I don't see any interest in this personally.
This game's been in development for a while, right? This is like the third E3 they've shown it at, isn't it?
Well, the first E3 was just a teaser, but...
Yeah, so when does this come out? Did they give a release date?
Nope.
Okay, so that's 2019, I'm gonna assume, until proven otherwise. Okay, cool.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, next we have, I guess, Super's Lucky Tail. Microsoft remembers platformers exist.
Oh, so the
dude, what a tease though, because everybody else thought Conquer.
That was the one. That was the thing that because I had my Twitter open while I was out, and everybody was like Conquer, and it was just like nope, Super Lucky Tail, whatever the hell that's.
Which I think, based on what I've been hearing, is going to be a port / update / remake thing of a VR game.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, it looks okay, a little slow, I think, but...
I thought Crash Bandicoot looked slow when we first saw that trailer. It might be better in motion. I'm all for Xbox actually having like a kids platformer that isn't just full of ironic jokes and is actually just, they're trying to have their own Mario, they're trying to have their own Sonic, their own Crash Bandicoot and stuff. I'm all for it. That game looked pretty charming to me.
I do think
I think they should have just went for a different color scheme, though, because if everybody's taking Conquer,
Yeah.
they're going to think this is like the not Conquer, and they're probably going to hold a grudge against the game for that very reason, as petty as it is.
I think.
I also saw the slightly orangey yellow fox here. I'm like, Tails, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I do think we need more games aimed at kids that aren't on Nintendo, though. I think.
Yeah, unfortunately for Microsoft, it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where they're known for the shooters and the big boy games and all that. So on the rare times they do try something like this, it doesn't have the install base necessary, so it does poorly, so they stop making them again.
Yeah, I don't think it's good for the industry to have like all of your 6-year-olds playing Nintendo and all of your 13-year-olds playing Xbox. It just doesn't. I think that everybody should have a more varied thing. So Nintendo should have more quotation marks adult games on their platform for sure. But I also think Sony's a little bit better than Microsoft because at least they've got Crash Bandicoot coming out right now.
They always have a few
yeah,
mascot characters, whether it be Crash or Ratchet and Clank or whoever.
Yeah,
or Knack.
Or
We'll get to that.
actually, no, they didn't show Knack.
They did in their preview show.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, I do think like it's a start, and I mean the rare replay is something as well. It's just I think we do need at least a few more of this. Like it doesn't need to be all 3D platformers all the time, although I certainly would be happy with that. But I do think we need a little bit more of these sorts of things from everybody. So
yeah, the other thing is I just find kids games on Sony and Xbox are usually just Lego games, Disney Infinity, very similar types of games that are just like, you can't die on them, they're really simple, and I don't know, I want more a traditional platformer kind of stuff again that isn't just, you get all that stuff on Nintendo, but with the other consoles, they need some kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of platformers, though, Cuphead finally has a release date,
Jesus
and it's on
Christ.
and it's on Steam, so now no one cares about it being on Xbox.
When was that announced? When was that
3
last
years
Like
ago.
3 years
It's been
ago.
around
Yeah.
for
3
forever.
years ago.
It's been like the one thing we've been looking forward to at Microsoft for years. And I mean, granted, I'm happy it's going to be on Steam, so I'll be able to play it too, without even needing to borrow my brother's
The Windows
Xbox
Store.
even.
Or delve into the Windows Store.
Ew. Don't speak of such scary things.
But
Ryan.
yeah, thank God. I've been waiting for this game for a long ass time, as you guys have been, and I mean, I know part of the reason is because it's just again the art style, the age the game is reflecting or emulating. It had to be so fucking meticulous to make a game that looks like
Oh,
this,
yeah.
but at the same time, you tease it year in year out, and it's like, come on, man, give me a date at least.
I can say I have played it because at Fan Expo 2015, I managed to get a playable demo of it while I was down there, and that was so freaking fun. I was having such a blast playing Cuphead that I was just like, I need this game to come out now.
It's basically Metal Slug, but with Disney style graphics, right?
Yeah,
It's a platformer, kind of.
a little Mega Man-ish, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got more Metal Slug than Mega Man, but I also haven't looked at the footage in forever. So
Yeah, and I haven't played the demo in 2 years. I can't even remember if you could aim diagonally, but the boss fights were really intense, and I did have to memorize what I was doing very, very quickly during my time with the demo. So I was just like, oh god, this boss... Like, the bosses were hard. The bosses were legit, like, challenging. They weren't... I think kids are gonna have a hard time with Cuphead, but it was fun.
We grew up with NES and SNES games, still deal.
No, it's okay. They can just on their Xbox look up the walkthrough on YouTube straight from the console.
They could, yeah.
Yeah.
So next game I'm thinking of Old Spice making a video game. It's like, fine, okay, I'll buy some Old Spice, Terry Crews. Just stop yelling at me, please.
Terry
But
Crews,
I mean,
I do love Terry
Crews,
Crews,
though.
yeah.
Yeah, Terry
It's
Crews
not going to
is
make me
great.
get the game, but I like Terry Crews.
No, But I was happy to see Terry Crews there, and it's like, that guy can make me buy anything except Crackdown 3. I'm not interested in Crackdown 3, But I'm happy to see him there.
I got Crackdown 1 as one of my launch titles with the Xbox 360, so I got it from my aunt, who just gave it to me for free, so I experienced Crackdown 1, I had fun with it. Yeah. It's a fun game where you just go around, you can jump super freaking high, you can climb buildings, you can shoot things with rocket launchers and blow all kinds of stuff up, and it's alright for what it is, but it's not one of my greatest games of all time or anything.
Right. Okay.
Next was Ashen, which I can't even remember what that game is because the note isn't terribly helpful. People have no faces.
Yeah, it was a really weird, I don't want to say primitive looking 3D game. It's definitely that way artistically speaking. But people with no faces, again, you're probably sending a message. I just think you're a cheap bitch.
No, it's symbolic, John, because the face is symbolic of someone's identity, and you just don't understand, man. It's dude, like what even is life, man? Like,
maybe I'm not paying attention enough to the trailers, but I don't even know what you do in it yet. I don't know what the gameplay is. I don't even know.
That's probably the point.
Yeah.
So let's move on to a much more interesting game, Dude Bro. Oh, sorry. That's actually after. That's actually the second next one. Next one was a teaser for Life is Strange prequel.
So the big thing I've heard about this after the conference is that apparently the original voice actor for... I need to play Life is Strange because I've heard nothing but phenomenal things.
I've heard either you absolutely love the game or you absolutely hate the game.
Yeah, it's very polarizing.
Okay, well, in that case, then I should play it just because then I'll have something to talk about. But the one thing I've also... The one thing I heard is that the voice actress for Chloe is the girl with the blue hair.
Yes.
She's not playing her character in the new game because of some sort of... I think there's a voice actors union.
Yeah, it's the voice actors strike that's going on right now. We're starting to feel it with a lot of games lately. I think that's what a lot of the voice problems with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite are as well. That's why we don't have Laura Bailey back as Chun-Li and why Chris Redfield sounds kind of weird and stuff. But again, we'll get to that. But Life is Strange, they are working on a season 2. The original team, Don't Nod, they're the ones who made Life is Strange. They're releasing this new game called Vampire right now. But they're going to be working on season 2 of Life is Strange. This is not season 2. This is
a prequel.
This is a prequel being developed by another team. It's sort of like, when Batman Arkham City came out, another team was doing Arkham Origins, or when KOTOR came out, another team was doing KOTOR 2, something like that. But,
Gotcha.
The voice actress for Chloe, who is the main character of this prequel, because of the voice actor strike, is not going to be reprising her role as Chloe, although she is lending her hand to the writing team to help write for the character, so that's going to be a little off-putting. It's a prequel, so we kind of know how it's going to end. I'm probably the only one here who's actually played through Life is Strange all the way. It was one of my favorite games of 2015, so judge me, commenters. But, I had a great time with Life is Strange. This one, it's not Don't Nod. It's not going to have Ashley Birch as Chloe. Those are a little bit of, this might be bad, but, again, it might be good. It might just be a fine standalone side story that's not as good as the main game, but at least, it's kind of fun for what it is. I don't know, but it's 3 episodes. The first one's dropping in August, and it won't have rewind powers because the main character had rewind powers in the original game, and she's not the main character this time, so no rewind powers. Although, apparently, you can wear different clothing in this game, and the characters will react to your clothing. So I don't know what that means.
Oh, great.
Great, you can walk up to Paya again and naked, and she'll get all nervous around you. Okay, cool.
I hope she can wear a sombrero. I want her to wear a sombrero.
Oh, well, now we're just talking about a different game altogether.
But Life is Strange prequel, a little bit of a controversy because of the voice actor and not being done by the original team. So,
well, I guess now we'll move on to biggest orc bro of all time. Middle Earth,
dude.
Shadow of
It's
War.
like I didn't play the Shadow of Mordor, Lord of the Rings game. I kind of fell off Lord of the Rings video games since the PS2 era, but it's like I want to play the game only because of Orc Bro. He's such a cool dude. It's like, I'm sorry I had to possess you,
but you're awesome.
It's like, but you're like, it's the best decision of my life, because he'll such a guy.
And now we
No,
found out that
but
John has a fetish that we all didn't know existed. Even John.
No, everyone loves work, bro.
So what is gaming in 2017 just going to be crushes on vaguely humanoid characters with side-on Cass and now work, bro? Like it's like
We need like a T-bump game between those three.
probably, yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's just, I didn't expect it, I guess.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, the nice thing is that it's not just kind of an action adventure game. There is some sort of team building stuff. It seems. Who you recruit.
That was something that kind of happened.
Their minds.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, at team building, it's like you hijack their minds, and it's like, again, it's like Lord of the Rings Odyssey. It's like you possess people and they join your crew.
That was a mechanic at the end of Shadow of Mordor. There was all these powers you kept going as the adventure went along. Because I played through the first game.
Even more spicy.
At the end of the game, you could brainwash people to work for you and send a message to other commanders or whatever. But now this one seems to be like, you're building an army so that you can destroy Sauron. And yeah, I don't know how that's gonna.
We all know how that's gonna work out. Yeah, because this is like, is this like pre-Hobbit or
This is pre-Fellowship, post-Hobbit.
Okay.
This is when Sauron's building his army and he's ready to go look for that ring.
Okay. So yeah, I think he's gonna win. Guys. I think
depending on how it gets received later, I might take it. I heard good things about the.
I feel like this game's just going to erase the canon completely, where it's like, oh no, this character is going to single-handedly kill Sauron.
The actual Sauron.
That's also very popular this year. It seems.
Sauron's evil twin brother, even more evil, actually. Like, wow. So, but I don't know. Like, honestly, like, I know this isn't the game's fault, but I have really not cared about the Lord of the Rings for a long time, and it's actually the fault. If we can put blame on that, it's The Hobbit, because The Hobbit is awful.
Moving on, depressing animal friends. Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
I mean, I never heard about Shadows of Mordor.
I never heard much about it, so I'm kind of surprised it got a sequel.
I have no doubt that the game will still be fun. It's just, this is not for me. I can already tell. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
If you love Batman Arkham's combats and its stealth.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that for sure.
And you have a thing for, Assassin's Creed type finding towers and going after targets. It's like Batman Arkham meets Assassin's Creed. That's how I would describe it. Then you'll probably like Shadow of Mordor and potentially Shadow of War later, but looks good.
Okay. So, I need to play Blind Forest. No, I heard it made some rumblings.
Yeah, Ori and the Blind Forest is considered like an indie darling.
I always got it confused with Dust for some reason, even though looking at screenshots, the two are nothing alike. So I don't know why I got it confused for Dust, but I did. So yeah, there's a lot of indie games I need to play. On that list is Ori and the Forest. Thankfully,
well, the fact that you said that, Ted, it kind of just supplements my brother Mark's argument, because around the second half of the conference, Mark was finished doing what he needed to do, and he joined me for the rest of the conference. And the moment Ori and the Will of Wisps played, I don't take it against him, but it's like, if this is another one of those heavily silhouetted indie titles, I'm gonna fucking flip my shit, because there is kind of a surplus of that kind of thing, and you kind of interchange one for the other, and you confuse them.
Yeah, it is a stereotype of like, oh, the scared little kid in a dark world, and subverting. I mean, to be fair though, it's just as tired there as your standard like gruff military person is in another game. So I mean, granted, like everything needs more variety, I think. But yeah, I did hear really, really, really good things about Ori, though. Like, even more so than, like, Limbo, which is, like, the premier, like, silhouette-y, dark indie platformy kind of game.
So final
I'm
quote
willing
unquote
I'd be
big
willing to give it a
announcement
shot
is
if
original
I end up
Xbox
liking
backward support.
Ori and the Bar.
So now you can
Rainforest,
play
Dark
Battlefront
Forest.
2
It's like $10
and
on
Battlefront
Steam.
2.
So I'm going to give it a shot eventually. It's
Anthem
just
was
a matter
after,
of kind
but
of when, you know. It's also kind of a thing that I don't want to say that it doesn't belong.
well, EA
in this
didn't really
kind of
show it. Is the
conference, but
thing.
That's going to be like a $15 game, and it's definitely going to be on Steam because there's no way.
So yeah,
a
you
game
can
like
play
that releases
some
to an
original
exclusive console.
Xbox
like,
games
indie
again.
Developers are super
Cool, I guess.
Want to port to as many things as possible, so as many people as possible play their game. So again, that's another one of those things where I don't need to buy an Xbox to play this. It's going to be on as many things as that developer can port it to. So.
Did we want to cover Anthem first? I think Anthem was after.
That. Oh, Anthem was after. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that because we actually skipped it when we talked about EA. But they showed a trailer for the trailer, which is like my least favorite E3 stereotype. But yeah. So, one thing that the Xbox One has done well is that over time they've steadily increased the amount of Xbox 360 games that are backwards compatible. So I'm hoping that with the Xbox One X that they'll continue try to make as many original Xbox games available for backwards compatibility as well. Because, it's just got to be awesome if you own an Xbox One X and you put away your Xbox One.
No, it's going to be for all the Xbox Ones. It's not just an Xbox One X exclusive
let's say you
thing.
own an Xbox One in general, and you remember a game from the Xbox One, the original Xbox, sorry. And then, you
names are bad, and you should feel bad, Microsoft.
You want to go back and play a game that you remember from 15 years ago. You don't have to hook up your old system anymore. You can just put it into your Xbox One and play it. And you have no idea how much I'd love to do that for my GameCube. I want to play Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door again. I don't have to set up my GameCube, plug in a million things, find a TV with composite inputs. I can just put the game into my system and play it instantly. That's a super nice feeling, and so I'm glad that is a really, really good feature that they're adding into the system. And I'm surprised that they can do it simply by a software patch. So, that's neat. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's cool, I guess.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Play original Xbox games with 4K resolution, and I regret.
What's wrong with everyone's face?
I regret everyone. You can kiss Max Payne's face.
Oh.
Well, I guess we'll go on to your final showcase of Iron Man game.
I wasn't sure what to think about this game at first, but then jetpacks.
Yeah, the problem is that kind of like Metro, you could tell this was completely scripted. So
did they do fake?
Yeah,
I'm very cautious.
Gameplay wise, it offered more to me than what Metro did.
Yes, but at the same time, again, it's heavily scripted, so I'm curious to see how it'll actually work when I see real gameplay of it.
But it was still enough for me to get concepts out of it and
Yeah.
what the kind of thing you could potentially do in it. And I think it was enough for me personally.
Yeah,
to
it got me
consider.
curious. It got me curious, if nothing else. By the way, high fake gamer speak.
Oh, they had fake gamer chat. Oh man, my least.
Yeah,
Of course.
I am so glad that almost every other conference ditched that completely, because that is my least.
they're finally learning that everyone fucking hates
Yeah,
that.
because it sounds awful. Everybody knows it's fake. It's just the worst. So I'm glad that it's mostly been phased out by this point. Just got to get that last gross couple of things out of our system, and then we'll be good.
Yeah.
Thank you for subscribing to BrainScratch Commentaries, by the way.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about Anthem. I kind of want to see more of it, because right now I'm not super sold on it. This might be the first BioWare...
it's going to... Sorry, go on.
This might be the first BioWare franchise I might skip out on, honestly, and Andromeda wasn't great. I don't know. I don't think this will be the same team as Andromeda, but...
It's not, but it's one of those... I picked up on the fact that right when the trailer started, this guy gets right up in your face to talk to you. It's like, look, our facial animations don't suck.
Yeah, they definitely made that distinction. I don't know. I just need to see more. I'm not really interested right now.
It's one of those. I'm sure we're going to be seeing it again next year at E3, so I'm
And
not
probably
too
the year after
particularly
that,
hyped
too,
about
because
it.
I don't see this coming out till like 2019, 2020, to be perfectly honest.
Maybe it depends on how long the main team of, the main team of the company's actually been working on it. Because Andromeda was not the main team over at BioWare.
Yeah.
So, the price
$499 US. $499 US.
Now, if I remember correctly, it is actually $599 US in Canada.
Yes,
Of course it is.
I think so.
Oh, wow.
599 Canadian dollars. 599 Canadian dollars.
Yeah, we pay a lot more money for games than you guys do.
If it's $100 more in Canada, how expensive is it going to be in Australia?
Like, and that's my buddy's string.
You poor guys. I'm so sorry. But
That's what you get for living in a country where everything tries to kill you.
well, Canada, nothing tries to really kill you.
No,
in
Australia.
Canada, though. So
Hey, just because I saw a
Australia.
bear in my mailbox the other day.
to be
Was it a zombie
to be
bear?
fair, though, you might be paying an extra $20 for every game, but we're paying an extra $20,000 for every broken leg. So
I have health care, so it evens out.
Yeah, there you go.
Fuck you.
So yeah, we've been over the price and all that. So Xbox was generally a good conference, but again, it has no real exclusives, at least as far as a general sense. And yeah, the Xbox One X seems very not needed right now.
Yeah. But credit to the conference. Despite meandering in the first half, it did pick up in the second half, and I found myself glued to the monitor to see what's coming up next. You know, presentation-wise, I think they're getting much better.
It showed me a few things I want to play, and I did think it was a better conference than Sony. So, spoiler alert.
And I'm just looking at the list here, like the link. Microsoft had the most games out of.
They were almost 2 hours.
Yeah, but that's also a big thing is that there was probably at least a few things that you could say, hey, I might check that out. Whereas even for some of the conferences where like we might have been more excited for some of the individual titles, I could easily see someone for like, let's say, Bethesda or Nintendo or EA, where you could look
Whomever.
at all of those and potentially say, I don't like those genres in general. At Microsoft, there's a lot of variety, which I think is super, super important. So, yeah, I haven't watched it, but their list certainly doesn't suck. It's pretty okay. From what
They've been a far cry from all the days when they used to sell the Kinect, and they had those bad presentations with the Kinect.
Ooh, boy.
They kind of took a note from Sony's past conferences where they basically didn't, aside from the start with the Xbox One X, they really didn't talk that much,
Yeah.
which is good.
Just a lot of games, a lot of sizzle reels.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. All right, so Bethesda was a conference that I had on in the background while I was working on stuff. And apparently they set it up like an attraction.
Anyone like how for 30 minutes they play that jingle on their stream? Do 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 do. I mean, it was definitely a unique way to doing it. I don't know why they needed to have a quote-unquote conference, have people in like a stage or something.
It was pretty short.
Yeah, it was pretty short, and it was like, aside from the very beginning, like 90% video.
Yeah.
So
This was at like midnight, so I slept.
yeah, I stayed up because Bethesda offers just enough for me to want to keep an eye on them, but not enough for me to get really excited about them. If that makes any sense.
Which I think it might have been just a good summary of this entire conference, where, I mean, you got The Evil Within 2, and you got Wolfenstein 2. Wolfenstein 2 in particular, I know people were pretty stoked for.
Which is okay with me, because I think, based on the last number of years, we might be getting a situation where they make a Wolfenstein game, then they make a Doom game, then they go make a Wolfenstein game, and they kind of alternate, which would be totally fine with me, because Doom last year was awesome.
And they're also different enough aesthetically and gameplay wise where like it's not like, they're making like having the two different teams with the Call of Duties, for example. Like, it's just like, okay, well, it's the same basic game, but this one's in World War II and this one's in the Vietnam War. It's just like, no, Wolfenstein and Doom are very, very different gameplay wise and aesthetically. So if you don't like one, you might like the other, actually. So as long as you're into shooters, fine. So,
but Elder Scrolls on Switch. I mean, the Skyrim on Switch.
We know really. Skyrim's on fucking everything. Can we move on?
To their credit, the Champion Tunic and the Hylian Shield. I mean, that's cool. But
can we move on? The game came out when I was in college.
Skyrim has been a thing for a while.
Skyrim came out in
6 years.
2011. Yeah, wow. That is a long time.
Move on already.
I don't think we see. I think we see like our first tiny teasers of Elder Scrolls 6 next year. So, like, I don't think we get the game till like 2020, personally.
Probably not, but it's just one of those, we get it. It's on everything. You can stop talking about it. Oh, and there's paid mods now.
I still don't know how to feel about that kind of thing, personally. It's just like, okay, I'm not even a huge fan of mods in general, because especially in terms of Bethesda games, all I ever hear about the mods is this, okay, download these 5 mods and then the game plays the way it actually should. That's like everybody who I've ever heard of talk about Oblivion. That's all I've heard is just like, okay, download
or Fallout 4.
this mod, this mod, this mod, this mod, and then the game's great. And I'm just like, okay, but it's not the same game anymore if I have to download 4 more mods. It's essentially a different game now. So
don't you want to reference Japanese Thomas Tank Engine mod memes?
I mean, those are always funny for sure, but like, I don't see that as any different than like paid DLC, really, where it's just like, okay, now you have to pay. It's almost like kind of having to pay for patches in Bethesda's case, which I think would, like, even Capcom and Konami don't make you do that kind of shit. So I don't
Don't you want to pay for crab armor?
Whatever. Like, I mean, the Link stuff is fine, but that's you have to have the amiibo in order to get those, and it's like...
And again, it's a 6-year-old game. Anyone who is interested has already played it.
And also, the mod for that outfit probably already exists on the PC for
Most
free.
likely, yes.
Free.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, granted, I think, it probably takes a lot of work to make an Elder Scrolls. So, it's not like, I'm bitching at them for taking 6 years to make a new one. It's just, there's only so many times you can port the game and have it be a big deal, I guess is the thing. Because they made, okay, we're porting Elder Scrolls to Switch, and okay, sure, you can make that sound like a big deal, but then, this is jumping ahead a little bit. At Sony's conference, they're like, okay, now you've got Skyrim in VR, and I'm like, okay, sure, like, but you just announced Skyrim ports yesterday. Come on, guys. So...
Which is kind of the same thing I feel with like Doom and Fallout 4 on VR as well. I mean, yeah, okay, they're things, and people that got the VR headsets can have something to look forward to. But it's like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So it looks like we're moving on.
There's really not much to talk about. Unless you want to go more in depth of things.
I guess
that's an expansion for 2 and was only CG, so hard to say anything about that. Oh yeah, they did the Quake Champions thing, which some of those gamers looked younger than Quake, so that made me feel old.
I never played any of Quake at all, like the series. So I don't. Is Champions like another game in the series, or is it a spin-off?
It's esports.
Okay. Well, I never played Quake games, so
yeah, that's about it.
All right, Ubisoft. Oh no, wait. Before we go to Ubisoft, did anybody see that Devolver?
What the fuck was that?
I only saw like memes about it on.
I've seen screenshots and I am terrified.
They were trying way too hard.
It's people say the same thing. It was like as if Adult Swim was making a comment.
It was basically a shit post. It was a shit post conference. They showed off 2 games at the conference. One was like a Serious Sam top-down indie shooter, I can't even remember what the second one was, but everything else was mostly just like poking fun at E3 and jokes. And it ended with the girls like her bleeding out of her eyes and face, and then her head exploded and she died.
What? Was that supposed to be a Scanners reference, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So at least it was intentional, but, like, okay.
There's probably a reason why they had it at 1 in the morning.
Probably. Everyone would be too tired or stoned
Because it
off
was
their ass to
immediately
notice.
after Bethesda.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a thing, but they didn't actually show anything of substance, like, in terms of games. And it was, again, I call it a shitpost conference. It was something you
Alright,
turn
so-
into to, like, what the hell am I watching? And that's basically what it was.
Alright, so I guess moving on to actual Ubisoft. So, yeah, we got the reveal on that.
Oh, Mario v. Rabbids. It's real. It's
XCOM.
It's real.
Which I people kept telling me that it's XCOM's gameplay. It's like, well, I never played XCOM, so I was just comparing it to Fire Emblem or a tactics game that I've actually played. So,
I mean, to be fair,
which at least is different, but it also confuses me because this is a game you're going to be marketing towards kids. How many of them are going to really know how to do this?
to be fair, the game looked like it had a substantial amount of effort put into it. Like, this is not a cheap cash-in. I believe them when they say they've been working on this for 5 years. Like, oh, no, it was 3 years. Sorry, my bad. But it's just like, okay, like, I can get that. This is something that, like, this is not like, okay, they're gonna throw Mario and Rabbids into a game and use the XCOM engine just to, make a quick buck. It's just like, no, this is a real game, and they're trying. It's just, no, even, like, the only thing that made me laugh out loud in the trailer was at the very end when they had the Rabbid Donkey Kong. Like, that was actually kind of funny. But everything else, like, I don't know. It looks fun
It's
enough.
Rabbids.
Like,
Yeah, to me, it's just a large feeling of indifference because I've never cared for the Rabbids. So then again, that also stems from me not growing up with Rayman.
No, if you like the old school Rayman games, you hate the Rabbids because they effectively killed off the franchise.
like they're
Well, no, I have friends that like didn't mind both. My buddy Russ, I think he grew up with Rayman, and he got the Raving Rabbids game on the Wii, and he didn't think it was bad. But it's like,
Well, is it the original one where the Rabbids are considered
the
villains?
first Rabbid
Yeah,
game is
that's
actually a decent minigame collection. It was a Wii launch title, so
Yeah, they were considered the villains, which you were supposed to hate.
yeah.
So it was okay for them to be annoying, but then
By the
for
time,
some reason, I guess they blew up by the time they got their fourth game on the Wii and were screaming at everything nonstop and were basically proto-minions. It's like, no, shut up, go away.
yeah, like I believe there actually is a Raving Rabbid games on GBA that plays like Rayman 1, if I remember correctly. So, if you want to have a game where like you actually punch the rabbits in the face as Rayman, go find that, I guess. But
Must buy.
yeah,
Blame the French. They made it popular.
yeah, stupid Frenchies ruining everything.
They love the
Oh
rabbits.
yeah, and Miyamoto showed up for some reason, and they dragged Bill on stage too.
Well, Bill and Miyamoto aren't only like bros, but Bill is like Miyamoto's personal translator for a lot of these official things. So
Yeah, no, I know. It's just a matter of Miyamoto. You really came out for this.
well, he didn't look like he was hating himself, which is a good thing because you can like Miyamoto is very expressive. You can tell when he really doesn't want to be somewhere. One of my favorite reaction posts ever is Miyamoto and Bill Trennan looking at somebody demoing the Kinect, and they just have this like, "What the hell is this?" kind of look on their face. Like Miyamoto didn't look like he was acting; he did look like he was, happy to be out there. So, I mean, granted, I think the people involved are worked really hard on this, and it's probably going to be fun to play because I've heard nothing but good things about XCOM. It's just whether or not you have any predisposition towards the rabbits, and if so, can you get over that predisposition to enjoy the game here?
I can't.
So if that's the case, then you probably should just play XCOM. is probably
Pretty much, yeah.
probably the
And I still bring up the point that you're putting two very kid-friendly franchises together and making it essentially a tactics RPG, which are definitely more complicated than the original Paper Mario or the Mario and Luigi games.
I think
Yeah, that's
all they
pretty
would've
odd.
had to
So
do
I,
is
I,
lower
I
the-
am worried about how well that will go over with kids.
I think that I get where you're coming from, but the original Paper Mario is very deep, and it has a lot of strategic elements to it.
It can, but the basic
it's a
rules are very easy to understand.
think-
Tactics RPGs are not so much that.
I think what makes it easy to digest is for Paper Mario specifically is the small numbers. It's like, okay, you're not dealing with like 300 damage per attack. You're dealing with 2. So a first grader can play this without too much problems. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see whether or not kids can get into it, how hard it is,
And
how much how much strategy is actually involved. We'll have to see, because I honestly I tuned out most of the Treehouse segments where they were demoing it, mostly because I had other things to deal with at the time. So it's less like, okay, like I'm not 100% sold on this, so I'll go check out something else. I know that if I'm not 100% sold on it, this is what I should be paying attention to it, so the game can sell me, but I'm stubborn like that. So yeah,
yeah.
but I'm not going to throw it. I'm not going to throw it away, like the possibility of it being a good game, just because I'm not a fan of the rabbits. Like, it could end up being a phenomenal game, but
I wouldn't go that far.
well,
I don't think
anything's possible. Let's.
Well, yes.
It,
My general attitude towards it at this point, now that they've shown it, is it looks like it'll be fine enough, but it has the problem of the rabbit's predisposition, and I think it's coming out in August.
yeah, it's coming out soon.
They said, so it'll probably come out and quickly be forgotten.
Yep, we'll see. We'll have to see. I'm sure it'll get like one more direct appearance sometime this summer, at the very least. So, yep, just gotta wait, I suppose.
Well, I guess moving on, we had Assassin's Creed, which we've already talked about. The Crew 2 with I can't understand your accent.
You racist piece of shit.
I don't have a problem with you bringing French guys on stream because it's a French company, but at least make sure they can be understood. That's all I'm asking.
I don't remember the Crew 2 at all.
Diddy Kong
it was
Racing
that game
Edition.
where like the sky kept on closing in on the floor, and like you could fly and do boats now for some reason.
Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, I thought that the Crew 1 hadn't even come out yet. To be fair, though, so
No, it's been out for a while.
okay. I mean, sure, I guess, but there was very little gameplay. It was mostly just CG. So, for all of the conferences, I keep a CG only trailer count, and I could only really do it for Microsoft and EA and Ubisoft. Well, I wasn't at Microsoft for EA and Ubisoft this year because Sony and Nintendo were actually good about showing real gameplay. But like Ubisoft, I think had the highest total number because it was obscene how many only CG trailers they had for that entire thing. So, meh.
Yeah, we talked about this last year, and I mean, nothing really had changed. It's South Park. I'm going to play it. I'm looking forward to it, but it's like at the same time I've already talked about this, and just it's South Park.
It didn't look like anything had changed in the year since we've seen it as well.
Yeah, and if you like South Park's brand of humor, go for it.
Yeah, the only interesting thing about the trailer was that they had a release date. Like, now we know when it's coming out, I think in October. So, yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, and oddly later on they announced a South Park mobile game, which is hilarious because they had an episode basically decrying how shitty mobile games are, so yeah.
We're in
What's
the money.
that? South Park is being hypocritical? That's never happened before. Ever.
Life comes at you fast.
But yeah, just so we could get the tangential topic of South Park out of the way. Next up was, hello, Mr. Frodo, in your VR something?
What's going on?
Oh, that weird, like, I thought that full motion video games were dead. So
I don't even know it's a FMV game. They didn't show
like,
any game at all.
A prequel to Night Trap. I've been waiting for this.
This video game version of Johnny Mnemonic is really weird.
No, they didn't show any gameplay at all. I don't know what it is.
It to me, like from what I saw, it just looked like one of those really. Was that the one where they played like the really? No, that was Sony's conference where they played all of that like ironically happy 50s styles music, and it's just like, okay, this was different
Yeah.
cliches. So I mean,
And why was Elijah Wood here?
I don't know. Like maybe he was bored from acting, felt like doing video games again, but Spyro's a dead franchise now, so he had to do something else. So yeah, I don't know.
I guess so.
Uh,
God damn it! I want a Johnny Mnemonic VR game now.
get it on Kickstarter. Somebody will fund it.
And the dolphin with a laser beam attached to its head has to come back.
We also need like a religious zealot, like Jesus time. I was like, oh yeah,
Freaking
I'd
sharks
buy
with
3
freaking
copies of
laser
that.
beams on their heads.
Don't even need it. Just wow. Hey, Skull and Bones.
Yar, fiddly-dee.
Pirates are
That's another game I have basically no opinion of because that was another CG only game as well.
No, they showed. Well, it was heavily scripted.
Oh yeah, you're right. They had the CG only trailer and then they showed gameplay. So it's just like, okay.
Micromanage yourself being a pirate. Okay, I guess.
Like.
I mean, they basically admitted to saying that with Assassin's Creed Black Flag, everyone just played it like a pirate sim. So okay, here's your pirate game.
I think
Pretty much.
I don't know why they decided to make it now because again, everybody's known about Sea of Thieves for a long time. And really, all this looks like is our Sea of Thieves, but not as interesting. So...
Did you like Pirates of the Caribbean? Because we sure did.
Yeah, I like Pirates of the Caribbean back in 2001 when there was only one movie.
But there's a 5th movie out in theaters right now, so
there's
pirates
Nobody
are back.
cares.
There's not, dude. It's a lie. It's a lie. There was only 3 movies, and they were the last 2 were rather lackluster. That's all I believe.
Of course, there wouldn't be a Ubisoft conference without the obligatory Just Dance.
So for some reason, Sub-Zero was here when it was dancing with pandas.
Dude, I was so happy when the Just Dance stuff happened because Ubisoft's conference was so boring. It was so boring. I missed Alicia Tyler so much. And I mean, granted, we all make fun of her, and maybe we should because it's always awful. But it's that special kind of awful that you only get from the Ubisoft E3 conference, and you don't know how much you missed it until it was gone. And oh my god, I was just so bored with, bored-looking business people walking out after every game presentation. And normally at least Aisha Tyler's keeping the energy up the entire time. And so when they finally got to their stupid dance number, it was just like, yes, this is why I watch the Ubisoft E3 conferences, for stupid junk like this. And, oh, man.
And at least they were brief with it. They just did a dance number. Just Dance 2018 is coming because we all knew it was coming, and then they left.
On the fucking Wii, too.
Yeah, it's got it. They got a
What?
Switch, Wii U. Yeah, they're
There's a
releasing for the
Switch, a
Switch,
Wii U, and
the Wii. Yeah. Which, I feel the Wii U was just shoehorned in there because it'd probably be weird if they went from Switch to just Wii, because people probably still own more Wiis than they do Wii U's.
Oh, definitely.
Like, the Wii U is just an obligation at this point.
A lot of people like playing it's actually probably better to play it on the Wii because, like, the Wiimote's better for Just Dance than anything else. Like,
well, as someone who's actually played the Just Dance game on the Switch, it is responsive on the Switch, so I'd imagine it'll be.
I guess I'm
successor.
more saying, like, if you're the kind of person whose video game purchases are limited to like 3 a year, one of which is the new Just Dance, you probably only still own a Wii. So, like, just keep on making. It's not like graphics are an issue for a Just Dance game. Or
no
anything.
shit, they've been making FIFA games for the PS2 like well over a decade after the console ended.
Yeah, basically. Like the last PS2 game was like 2013 or something like that because they kept on making FIFA stuff. So yeah. Oh man.
Moving from that, hey, did you like No Man's Sky? Did you? Well, now here's No Man's Sky, but with figures that you have to buy to actually play the game.
No, here's the thing, though. I don't think a lot of people like No Man's Sky. I only heard, like, massive...
That's what I was joking about.
I only heard about massive disappointment regarding that game, so...
Yeah, but now this is an even worse No Man's Sky, because you have to spend money to build your ship.
Like, I mean, granted, I'm a sucker for toys, because I'm a 5-year-old at heart. So, like, I mean, the idea is decent, but, like... I don't know what it plays like and whether or not it'll be fun enough to justify me spending $100 on extra plastic crap, you know?
I just wonder how clunky that's going to be, because apparently you're supposed to have the ship on top of your controller while you're holding it, so that while something's happening, you can make little adjustments on the fly. And I don't know
That
how
sounds
that
like
works.
a terrible idea.
I'd have to see it in motion, I suppose.
Okay,
but...
so I'm just thinking about it right now. You know what series could make this game and have it sell 1 million copies? Kingdom Hearts Gummy Ship game. Where you have
Yes.
Don't give them any ideas.
the exact same game, only instead of using those like Transformers looking stuff, you use gummy blocks. Come on, people would buy it. And if it was like anywhere even close to as decent as like, I don't know, like Star Fox Assault, then people would eat that shit up. John, tell me you wouldn't buy that.
No,
John, that's a lie. You would buy that because you'd review it
I wouldn't.
for your channel.
Okay. I didn't like the gummy ship sections in Kingdom Hearts 1. I mean, I like building the stuff to be correct. Yeah, I mean, building shit, I guess, that's a different story, but...
Yeah, but now you can build it in real life.
But building gummy just don't cost money.
No, they cost money with a U.
And an eye.
So anyway, Square Enix, call me.
Well, I guess after that was Steep Winter Olympics expansion. Nothing to say here. It was just
That was
skiing
another
and
game that I
snowboarding.
thought hadn't come out yet. I didn't think Steep it was finished yet.
I just kind of came and went. And I'm sorry, Ubisoft. I only play Olympics when it has a talking hedgehog. Thank you very much.
power walking against a turtle dragon.
We're watching the Ubisoft conference downstairs, and I think Matt and Elliot both asked, "Where's the Yeti from Ski Free?"
Yeah.
Like, you can-
Dude,
that's the only ski game I know.
they put that as an expansion or a DLC pack. I will fucking get that game.
It's probably not going to happen, of course, but
No, but
yeah,
it would totally get my purchase. I would totally be skiing down the mountain with that chasing after me. And no, it's not an updated version. It's the original pixel art just made bigger and chasing you. Call me Ubisoft.
So the last two games I'd imagine were the biggest.
Well, yeah, they're their big heavy hitters. So
Far Cry 5.
Far Cry 5 political commentary.
It looked like Far Cry. That's really all I could
Yep.
say about it. Is it looked exactly like Far Cry, just the settings.
But now it's full of rednecks.
Honestly, I like talking about politics in this kind of space is not a smart idea. But I'll just say it like this: I expect nobody of any political affiliation to be happy with how that game's story turns out.
No.
I expect it to drop the ball in every conceivable way. So,
Am I missing something here? Why does the right connect with a cult, a fanatical cult? It is described as a fanatical cult. It's like,
it's a cult for Jesus,
I guess,
Yeah,
but
basically.
I don't know why. I wouldn't be like, hey, that's about me. But,
It's
know.
mostly whatever. We could
Don't you judge me and my blood sacrifices?
Let's not just get it. Let's just not get into it.
let's just assume everybody will be pissed off because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, so shut and play the game.
in terms, but in terms of playing the game, I don't see, aside from the setting, what's different about this compared to Far Cry 3 or 4, like at all. I mean, I guess there's going to be more like trucks and shit around, and no more tigers or any of that cool stuff. So, yay! But
It's gotta be bears and stuff.
yeah. Oh well, okay. Bears are cool. I like bears.
And we ended on the thing that's been teased and hoped for years and years, and it's a prequel that has nothing to do with the plot threads that they left off
probably
on in the first game.
Unexpected change.
Okay.
I would say in the entire conference.
Well, okay, this is actually
Is-
something that I would have liked Lewis to be able to come here, because here's the thing. If you didn't have the pig people in that trailer, I would have had no idea that it was Beyond Good and Evil. And honestly, I thought that the trailer was really, really bad.
Saying fuck every 2 seconds does not make you cool or mature,
That's
Ubisoft.
what threw me off, because, we did a Beyond Good and Evil commentary on the channel like a year ago, or a year and a half ago. And yeah, I got the same feeling, like the pig was like, it's Beyond Good and Evil, but then he starts cursing up a storm, and it's like, no, this is not Beyond Good and Evil, because the writing was never this vulgar. Yeah, no, I'm not putting like I'm not putting on the sirens like, oh, here comes the political correct police, but it's more it's so jarring
Well, no, you want to
compared to
keep
what.
games consistent in tone. That's what
Yeah,
makes Shadow the Hedgehog
it
so
was
jarring.
such a it's exactly that. You're absolutely right. It's such a radical shift from what was established that it threw me off, and then uh when it was announced as Beyond Good and Evil 2, it's like I was more shocked than like optimistic about it.
Yeah, and it's and then they announced that it's a prequel before Jade's even born. So it's like, so you make people wait 15 years for this to officially get announced, and you make it a prequel, so it ties up none of the character or plot threads that were left hanging at the end of the last game.
That's why people wanted a sequel, is because that thing happened to Paige at the end of the game, and you're like, okay, so what does that mean? And now we're just going back in
Not
time.
talking about it.
Yeah, so
I know a ton of Mega Man fans who, if Legends 3 was announced and it was like a prequel to before Mega Man was stuck on the moon, I know a lot of people would be really mad, so.
yeah.
Yeah, and then they went out of the way to be like so emotional about it. It's like, but this isn't Beyond Good and Evil 2. This is some prequel.
Yeah, we know nothing about any of these characters.
And I hated most of them. Like that stupid monkey. Like, again, like cussing up a storm does not make you an endearing character. It makes you one of us four assholes who talk on the internet and bitch about these kinds of characters.
Thank you for subscribing to BrainScratch Commentaries. By the way.
Yeah, we love you. We love you and appreciate you. It's like, okay, so we established that this monkey is ripping off this mafia pig dude, and that he curses a lot. Okay, that's not really very endearing at all. And
Yeah, and it's CG only trailer count. We don't know anything about what this game is about.
I don't think that the game comes out for another 3 years at least.
Probably not.
So, I mean,
I'm glad it's coming, and I'm hoping that if it does do well, we'll add an actual Beyond Good and Evil 2. But it kind of be like if they announced, oh, we're going to bring back the Teen Titans cartoon, but it's their year one, and we're not going to talk about why Terra is suddenly out of her stone petrification. It's like we're just going to ignore everything entirely. It's like, but that's not what we asked for.
and this is kind of selfish, I realize, but since this game, Michael Ansel is going to be working on this game for the next couple of years, that means for me personally, we're not getting any new Rayman stuff for a while. And I know that this is a selfish kind of thing, but I would rather have any kind of Rayman game than a Beyond Good and Evil 2 that does not feel like Beyond Good and Evil 1 at all. So, yeah. Like, I mean, I can't even tell
I'm
if Beyond
waiting
Good and
until
Evil
see what
fans are
comes
even
out.
excited or not. Like, are they?
Well, I'm sure there's tons of people who are
Well,
excited.
yeah, I'm sure they're excited for it. To me personally, at this point, I'll wait until it comes out. I believe it when I see it when it comes out. 'Cause remember, they teased Beyond Good and Evil before.
Oh, yeah.
And for the
Well, Beyond
PlayStation
Good and Evil
3.
2
Like
before.
2008.
And that they done that, and then it just dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah. So
who's to say it won't happen again?
Well, here's
I mean,
the difference here is that they officially gave it a title and announced it, so I don't think they have a choice now.
Oh no, they have a choice. Games get dropped all the time.
Well, you know what I mean, though.
I mean, there'd be a lot of pushback for it for sure, but I still think that it could get dropped. We don't know. We could end up with a versus 13-15 situation, and we don't see it for another 10 years. Like
Potentially.
yeah. So I mean, Ubisoft. Honestly, out of everybody I watched, I think Ubisoft probably had the worst conference. I think.
No, he's still EA.
Worse than EA?
I don't know. At least Battlefront 2 looked impressive, and to some extent, as somebody who's never played a Battlefront game before, that looked like it could be fun. Whereas pretty much everything else in Ubisoft was either stuff I expected, or stuff that I expected, like South Park. And for South Park, for example, nothing changed about that game at all. Or it was like, it was really lame looking stuff like Beyond Good and Evil 2 or Starlink or that Transference game or whatever. So I would say, not that EA was a good conference. I'm not going to say that, but I would say that Ubisoft was worse this year.
I wouldn't quite agree there, but to each their own.
Yeah, well, again, they were close, but at least EA had a game, had Battlefront, which actually did look like a pretty damn good game. And A Way Out looked like it had potential, whereas I didn't see anything like the most, honestly, the most interesting game from Ubisoft this year was Mario and Rabbids. So, yeah. But
Shall we move
I'm
on?
just indifferent. Yeah, I'm just indifferent to it.
yeah.
So
So then let's move on to probably the strangest overall feeling conference of the convention, which was Sony, I think.
Are we sure we're not at E3 2016?
yeah, to me, this is. I'm not going to call the Sony conference bad, but definitely the most disappointing.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know. I thought
to me, I thought they were in autopilot the entire.
They were in autopilot, and like the vast majority of their presentations were stuff we got shown last year. Mind you, some of the stuff in more depth, but there was no real new surprising stuff here.
And a lot of the stuff they showed, I thought, wasn't super impressive looking either.
Yeah, like they started with Uncharted, which I won't go into. Me and Lewis's little thing on Twitter, but
we might as well just do Uncharted 1 at this point, so we can have a full commentary.
It's just
of the entire series. Yeah,
it's just one of those. Why is this the franchise that Naughty Dog decides to spam to high hell?
Because it sells the best. That's
the thing.
I was just
exactly
hoping when they announced that there are two teams working on different games now, that after they showed Last of Us 2, which we all kind of expected, that they weren't going to do what they usually do, is that once they feel they're finished with the franchise, they would move on to something else. It's like, nope, Uncharted again. But this time you're playing as ladies, so that makes it totally different.
From what I've heard, it's also going to be a budget title, too. So, not that makes it less of a game, but it kind of implies that it's going to be less of a game.
I don't think they can go ahead and... They can't go ahead and spend as much money as they did on Uncharted 4.
No, it's probably going to be reused assets and engine stuff all from Uncharted 4 for that game. And that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be bad. Like, in some ways, it could end up being better than Uncharted 4. I've never played Uncharted. I don't know. It's a possible, is just what I'm saying.
Some people think Uncharted 4 is pretty bloated and goes on too long, so...
Yeah.
It is going to be a shorter game, so that will be better, but...
Yeah, but I'm just saying...
I just wish Naughty Dog would move on from this.
Even as somebody who has no opinion about Uncharted in general... I don't see what made, aside from the lady protagonists, which definitely will excite some people, especially since a lot of people's biggest problem with Uncharted is Nathan Drake.
But that inherently doesn't change anything about the game.
Well, no, you see, I wouldn't even consider that a selling point, Ted, because that's Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
You're right.
But, for a series that was inspired by Tomb Raider, there's
a reason we called it Dude Raider for...
Yeah, they sure are going back to their roots. So to me, a female protagonist is not a selling point, especially in this day and age. There are female protagonists everywhere in games nowadays.
There was a lot of, one good thing about E3 in general is that there were a lot of diverse protagonists, which was good. It's just,
yeah,
that's nice.
But we're at a point where it is not a selling point.
Well, it's a selling point for some people, maybe not specifically for us, I suppose. The other aspects of the game might matter more for us, but that sort of stuff, I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter for some people, because it definitely does.
Well, we just got a probably much better female protagonist-led game that's getting an expansion, as they showed next, Horizon Zero Dawn, Frozen Wild, which, okay, a DLC expansion. Neat, I guess.
So... If we're going to compare this with the Zelda trailer, because, again, comparing Horizon and Zelda is, the cool thing to do these days. We didn't really get much information about the DLC other than the fact that it exists. Whereas for Zelda, we know exactly what we're getting for both DLC packs. So...
Well, no, only the first one.
No,
we got told nothing about what the actual expansion for the second one is.
I thought they said that you got to play as the champion.
No, they just said that they have Amiibo. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
they told us nothing about what the second pack will actually contain.
I don't see any Horizon Zero Dawn Amiibo, so obviously
it's not on Nintendo.
But again, it was very short. It was a very short trailer. I was expecting more from it. It's just okay, this expansion exists, and I can't even assume what it's going to be kind of about other than snowy area. Whereas, you can make... people have made a lot of... there's a lot more to speculate with Zelda at the very least. So, it felt like a very shallow announcement. But then again, I also haven't played Horizon, so maybe the people who have played Horizon can gather more from that trailer than I could. But as an outsider, it went by very quickly. Actually, that's something I kind of wanted to bring up. Sony's conference was very short. It was like an hour. And I mean, I know that we all appreciate the trailer after trailer approach, but I kind of realized that there's a reason why they bring people out to talk after every game for other conferences, and it's so that we can get a better understanding of what we just showed, of what we were just showed. Because
Depends on what you're doing.
I found that I had very little time to digest what we were given at Sony's conference. So like, it's just like we showed this, and I mean, again, like the lack of fluff is nice, and I don't say that. I'm not saying we need to have people out there for 10 minutes for every game, but at least having somebody out there for 2 minutes talking a little bit, showing us some gameplay demos maybe, or even just a few screenshots would have been nice. You know, I feel like slowing down would have helped Sony's conference. That's just my opinion. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with that, and I see that. Like, I know that I don't think that every game needed to have this. But I feel like for a couple of games, like especially like God of War, which we'll get to, or Monster Hunter World, or Destiny, or something like that,
yeah.
those could have used having somebody come out and talk about it for another 2 minutes. I think that's just me, though.
Just before we go any further, it's not on the list, so I can't remember when they did Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Oh, that was after
right.
Monster Hunter, I believe.
Okay. We'll save it for after Monster Hunter then.
Oh yeah, because we have to talk about everybody's favorite game next. The Last of Us. I mean, Days Gone. Yes.
Man, like even a year after the game was debuted, I still don't give a shit about this game.
It's Zambies.
It looks like the most generic 2012 video game I've ever seen in my life. Basically, like
it showed me nothing that I haven't seen in a million other zombie games before.
What were video games like in 2012, Ted? Look at Days Gone, a game that came out in 2018. That's basically it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a killer bear.
Okay, you see, that actually kind of pissed me off because the zombie bear, I was looking at it, it's just like, okay, if you did more stuff like that, then maybe I'd be interested, you know? Like, it tries to be both, it seems like it's trying to be both The Last of Us, it's very self-serious and trying to be thoughtful and introspective. But it's also
and then a zombie bear runs out.
Then it's also trying to be Dead Rising at the same time with like a million zombies and zombie bears. So it's like, okay, you can either try to be Last of Us or you can try to be Dead Rising. But for this, you can't really be both. You have to kind of pick one. So do that, please. I don't think any of us care about Days Gone, right?
No,
I really don't. The bear was the most interesting thing about that, but at the same time, that's not a reason for me to buy the game.
Again, every time I'm watching the footage, I'm just like, use a force repulse, Star Killer, come on. That's the only thing I'm thinking about.
Well, I guess moving on to Monster Hunter World. I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan. I'm sure that's great for people who like it, but...
So, actually, Monster Hunter people on my Twitter were actually getting kind of annoyed because there's another Monster Hunter game coming out for Switch and 3DS called Monster Hunter XX, Double Cross, Double X, whatever. Apparently...
wait till I get to the third one, Triple X.
Oh, yeah. But apparently that's not getting localized, or at least hasn't been announced for localization yet. So, you know, feel my pain as a Dragon Quest fan, Monster Hunter nerds. But...
You already have like 12 games.
No, because Dragon Quest, we're still waiting. Dude, the one thing I wanted from E3 this year was a fucking Dragon Quest XI localization announcement, and it didn't happen, so I'm pissed. But anyway, like, apparently people are more, for the general gist of what I found from the Monster Hunter fan base, at least from my exposure, is that they kind of want that one more. And so this one kind of just looked a little, I don't know what, you know that first like 5 minutes of that trailer where you just walk around doing nothing and like carving stuff off of dead dinosaurs? That's like 80% of your Monster Hunter experience, and that's why I do not care. Because you have to wait like 30 hours before something cool happens, and even then you'd have like one cool thing for every 80 minutes of gameplay after, and you're expected to play for 300 hours, and I hate it. Monster Hunter puts me to sleep. So, I mean... a console game, I guess, is good for people who would rather play it on that sort of thing, but Me specifically, I can't care. No, thank you.
I mean, this is one of Capcom's biggest selling franchises. I don't know anyone personally who plays it, but apparently it does really, really well.
Mostly in
Yeah,
Japan.
well in
It's
Japan, in
it's a
Japan,
Dragon
yeah.
Quest situation where the games sell like hotcakes in Japan. Granted, I'll give Capcom this in that they've been much better about pushing Monster Hunter in the West than Square Enix has about pushing Dragon Quest in the West. So, like, it's built up some steam, but it's still very much a cult game in over here, where you've got that small but devoted fan base. Where so, like, I mean, granted, I do feel like cult games do need to be shown at E3, if only to give them some spotlight. But
Yeah, because I mean, they meant I forget his name, but he mentioned out loud Persona 5. So
yeah, so those kind of games do need spotlight from time to time. But this particular iteration, I didn't see what was any different about this than any other Monster Hunter game, personally. So
other than them PS4 graphics,
yeah, so meh. That's just me, though.
after that, we got a reveal of an actual Shadow of the Colossus full remake, which the game looks gorgeous. I want to play it because it looks so gorgeous, but it's a game I've already played.
It's the most unexpected thing I would say throughout the conference. I mean, because I think someone, I don't remember who it was on Twitter, made an excellent point. Was the reason why Shadow of the Colossus? Well, one of the reasons why Shadow of the Colossus was so impressive on the PS2 was what it managed to achieve on that system, and how amazing it looked with its limitations. And I feel a complete HD remaster is just a tad redundant.
A little bit, but I also want to see just how far
Now,
they can push it.
Of course, I'm saying this as a guy who's going to get the game anyway.
Yep. And
You know.
and for the guy who asked us about Shadow of the Colossus at MomoCon, yeah, this will be the version I'm doing then.
Yeah,
Assuming it comes out.
just don't touch
anytime
the
soon.
soundtrack.
They said early 2018.
Okay, well, I'll believe that one.
Just don't touch the soundtrack.
One, it's being made by a different team outside of Eco, and two, it's a remake, so most of the heavy lifting has already been done.
I guess for me personally, they didn't show any changes, and I mean, granted, it's one of those things where
It's a remake, so
some people might get upset if you change things.
the only thing I could expect them to change is maybe dummying back in cut Colossi.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone was saying, is that use the opportunity to bring back some Colossi they had to cut out.
Okay.
Because the PS4 is a much bigger system, so you can do it. Spaces shouldn't be an issue.
Space is no issue at this point.
Well, we say that in every game installation is like 50 gigs.
I'm talking as far as an individual game is concerned.
Right.
Yeah. So,
But again, don't touch that soundtrack.
but
For the love of
here-
God, don't touch that soundtrack.
again, about giving games time to digest, they just kind of moved on from that. Whereas for any other conference, announcing that you're doing a remake of a game as legendary as Shadow of the Colossus would normally be a pretty big fucking deal. It's like, okay, Microsoft comes out and they say, we're remaking, I can't even think of a game on the caliber of Shadow of the Colossus other than, like, Final Fantasy VII, really. Like, yeah, like, it'd be like if they showed that Final Fantasy VII trailer from 2 years ago and then just moved on to something else without even taking a split second to talk about it. Like, no, you don't do that. You have to show something. You have to talk about that a little bit. Give people time to get excited, because I completely forgot about it 10 minutes later. And maybe that's because I haven't played Shadow of the Colossus yet, but you don't have to be that compressed. You can slow down a little bit, at least for some of these games. So that was, yeah, whatever.
One game that wouldn't need that, though, is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Uh,
Or as Jamie put here, which I totally agree with, what's wrong with your face?
So, my favorite meme out of all of those is somebody taking the Tekken 2 PS2 box art and just putting...
Yeah, they put Dante on it.
putting all the different characters from all the character skills on it. Oh, man. I mean...
The game visually does not look good at all.
No, the graphics aren't very impressive.
This is a game that unfortunately has been getting bigger negativity the more that gets revealed.
And, one, the graphics that they just showed, and two, the roster.
It's a big deal that the roster is the way it is. Because what happened is, before the Sony conference, there was a leak of the
From a
supposed
very
Marvel
credible source,
roster.
yeah.
Yeah, this was the same source that told us Marvel vs. Capcom was going to happen. It predicted other games, and it listed off all these different things. And there was no X-Men characters.
There was no one from Fox, basically.
there was a lot of returning Marvel 3 characters, like a lot of, Doctor Strange, Rocket Raccoon, a lot of stuff that we saw in the last game, and not a lot of surprises, but the few new ones they did mention was like Gamora, Thanos,
Which,
Sigma and
by the
Ultron.
way, in this one story trailer for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Thanos now has more screen time than the entire MCU.
No, he doesn't. That's bullshit. He's got.
You're,
But,
you're just in denial,
No,
Ted.
that it is actual bullshit. He's got like a full 3 minutes of screen time in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and he's not. That's like a 2 minute. Trailer.
3 minutes over how many movies?
That's still you're wrong. Is still the thing. There's a good 40 seconds of Thanos in this trailer, and a good 3 minutes in one movie. So shut up. Anyway, you were right about the roster though, because I'm thinking about it. At least from the Marvel side, there's just Captain Marvel, Gamora, and Thanos, and Ultron. So that's 4 new Marvel characters. Cool. And then
And 3 of them are going to be, well, one was already a part of an MCU big movie.
Yeah.
The other 2 are going to be part of big MCU movies.
and yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, still,
and-
that's fine. Like, these are characters that people would be would be excited to play Thanos, Ultron, Captain Marvel, and Gamora. Like, I mean, they should throw in like someone wacky like Squirrel Girl or whatever, or Gwenpool or whatever. But like, those are still solid choices. But like, I'm thinking about the Capcom stuff. The only new character I can think of is X. Did they announce anyone else new from Capcom?
Nope, not that I know of. And again, just being incredibly petty, and no one from Fox-owned properties.
Yeah, like, is Spider-Man even announced?
No, not officially, but he was part of the roster for the league. So
I don't feel like
Supposedly-
they could get away with dropping all the X-Men and Spider-Man. I feel like
no,
that.
Spider-Man is still their most popular character, whether they like it or not. So they kind of have to put him in.
It's man, that is one thing about Disney though. Is Disney and Marvel is that they're stupid petty. Is that okay? You're making a new Fantastic Four movie, so it looks like we're just gonna cancel the Fantastic Four book. And I'm like, fuck you guys, come on. And I mean, granted, there's still I haven't read comics and I haven't read any comics in a long time. I hear good things about some individual runs, but the comics industry itself, outside of movies, has just been I've found it really hard to care lately.
Yeah.
So
And then they also did the taboo of announcing some of the first DLC characters 3 months before the game even comes out.
every fighting game does that though. Like
Yes, but that doesn't make it right.
no,
And even still, it's like they showed Black Panther in story mode and Black Panther's DLC. It's like, but he's in the story mode. He should be part of the
He's
roster.
gonna, he's gonna be on the disc.
oh yeah. So I'm just
Like,
saying
if you learn nothing from
if they-
Street Fighter Tekken.
I'm just saying if they were going to show Soul Calibur 6, are we on 6 or 7 now for Soul Calibur? I don't remember.
I can't remember.
The last
think
one
it's
was
6.
5.
Okay, so
Last one, yeah.
yeah.
So,
So
we're on 6.
if they were showing Soul Calibur, it would be the exact same thing. So it's again, you should get angry, but I'm not like livid about it because it's just the same old bullshit to me. So
Sure. It's like,
Personally, I think. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like when I compare it to like other fighting games that are out right now, like we talked about Dragon Ball's Fighters, and that looks like it's a little bit more fast action. It's got 3 versus 3, which a lot of people wanted. Even when I compare it to like something like Injustice, where they have great facial animation, the story mode's graphics are so damn good. And then you look at the story cutscenes in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, they end these trailers on some really bad jokes, which makes me think the writing's not going to be very great. Like when
Did you play the story mode demo, or at least seen a video of it?
I've seen a video of it. I haven't played it myself.
Yeah, the demo mode for story mode did not leave me impressed in the slightest. Because here's the thing, I think the game looks fine in the middle of gameplay. It looks like Marvel vs. Capcom, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But everything else is shot, like visually and presentation wise, and just it's just everything else. It looks like a very, very early PS3 game.
Yeah.
And
it's got to be better than Tekken 7 story mode. That's all I'm gonna say because that's awful. So
Yeah, but Tekken 7 also looks significantly better visually.
Tekken 7, dude, have
know.
you seen gameplay of Tekken 7 running on a standard PS4? Because there's a lot of issues with those games graphics. Like Tag Tournament has better character models, and Tag Tournament 2 came out in like 2013. So yeah, and I mean, granted,
May just be the videos I've seen then.
the character models leave a lot to be desired. line delivery, I think, also leaves a lot to be said. Even the small things, like, a big thing about Infinite is Sigma and Ultron combining bots was like Ultron Sigma, I think is the name of the
Such a
show.
lazy name.
And they speak in like a fusion-esque voice, but it's not like tight fusion, say like in a Dragon Ball Z anime. One actor is clearly reading their lines differently than the other actor, and it's just so disorienting. And to me, I think it just bothers me. Well, 'cause that's just one of the many things that bothers me about this game. But if I can give credit where credit's due, like the gameplay itself looks fine, which is why I'm still getting the game. But it's like, what happened to the production values? Why does the trailer of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 look infinitely better than the fourth game in the series?
Yeah. And again, the gameplay's fine, but again, the thing that really hurts that for me is that there's just too much of a returning roster where there's not enough new surprises. Like, when a Marvel vs. Capcom game gets announced, we all have so many ideas that go through our head. Like, oh man, Asura from Asura's Wrath can be on the Capcom side, and oh man, what if they got the Winter Soldier in there and stuff? Like, we keep waiting for those great reveals, and we didn't really get any of that stuff, really. We got Gamora, we got Thanos, we got Ultron and Sigma and X, and that's about it.
Thanos doesn't even hold that much water for me because he was in Marvel Superheroes.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
And X isn't that much of a surprise considering he's probably going to play at least mildly similar to past Mega Man incarnations.
Yeah. It just, they needed to have more surprises. They needed to have more, better production quality for sure. And again, I don't know why they keep ending these trailers with like the worst jokes. Like, it just looks like the writing for the story mode's gonna be really bad, and the models, the character models, everyone's seen Dante's face.
What's wrong with your face?
They seem to be the real the one that's getting the most flack.
It's a shame. When it was announced, it was like really hype, and everyone was like, "Oh, this should be awesome." And then the more we get revealed for it, it's like, "Oh, Capcom.
Come on, guys."
Okay, so there's actually, if we're done with Marvel vs. Capcom, something really funny that happened on my Twitter was, I was watching the next trailer, and I was thinking, oh my god, this is the most generic FPS I've ever seen. This is like trying so hard to be a Call of Duty clone.
Call of
and
Duty,
then it
Call of
actually
Duty,
is Call of Duty, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
And the only reason they went back to World War II is because Battlefield 1 kicked their ass last year.
Yeah, Okay.
I would also argue that people are also just, I think, after Infinite Warfare, the series has gone too far off of what it was established with.
Yeah.
And I think people were just clamored for a return to where Call of Duty started, which was, of course, the World War II setting.
Yep.
Like, I mean,
The problem here, I think, is that World War I is different enough that you can introduce new gameplay elements with it, whereas World War II is the first quote-unquote modern war in terms of generally how things are handled in a lot of sense. So even though it's World War II, I can't see it being too terribly different aside from some general tech stuff,
I think
gameplay-wise.
I feel like it's Eastern Front again, right? Western
Yes.
Front, sorry. It's Western Front again, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's probably going to be the same kind of stuff you've seen already, whereas stuff like the Pacific Theater and the Eastern Front aren't covered as much in these kinds of games. I mean, because those aren't the sexier quotation marks, because it's a fucking war, but, like, that's not like D-Day and all sorts of those other things where you're, like, shooting Nazis or whatever. Those are less explored parts of the history of the actual...
Gonna be doing one thing.
Yeah.
Shooting Nazis.
Yeah, so, I mean... It just kind of baffled me that I thought it was a Call of Duty ripoff, and it actually was Call of Duty. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
It's one of those, yeah, we know Call of Duty's coming because it's like the sports games, it's an every year sort of thing. Okay. Move on.
Yep.
Then we got Skyrim on VR, which we already talked about.
Oh, yeah, so the whole VR section, like... What was the point? Like, I mean, what was the point?
I get trying to push it, but I think they spent a little too much time on it.
It felt like most of these things you didn't need VR to get a different experience from it, because like after Skyrim, the next thing they showed was Star Child, which was a goddamn 2D platformer. Of all the genres,
Yeah, I was watching it the entire time. Like, did they forget to remove the VR logo at the bottom there?
like
Because there was no need for this to be VR.
of all things to play on VR, the last thing I need is a 2D platformer. Like, okay, sure, like anything, honestly, anything not in first person, I don't really get the point of VR because you're supposed to be like in the experience. So if you see yourself out,
maybe. Well, I'll bring up an excuse for maybe Moss later on down the list.
oh yeah, because that's more about the environment, though.
Yeah, the environment and maybe interacting with the environment, not so much controlling the cute little mouse guy himself.
But like what seemed to be like a Metroid style game, like, why do you need to play this in VR? Are you even able to play it outside of VR? I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, it looked fine, but why VR? That was my big question while I was watching it.
Either of you have anything to say about it, John and Clement?
The thing with VR for me is like I'm never gonna get VR, so none of these games really interest me. Like I could say something about The Inpatient looks like a kind of neat horror
Suspense
VR
game,
type
yeah.
experience.
Oh no!
And
I hated the Impatient trailer. It was such a cliche. It's just like, oh, we're gonna ironically play
Well-
cheery '50s music because it implies that something sinister is going on. Look how smart you are, audience.
It's also apparently a prequel sort of thing to Until Dawn because it's in the same hotel, the insane asylum you go to in that game.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Ha. Okay.
So he's gonna turn into a Wendigo?
Potentially, I guess.
The X-Men villain? I'd watch that. I'm in the same boat. It's VR. It doesn't do anything for me. It's like,
Again, it's the cost.
But John,
is-
don't you want to play Noctis's Big Fishing Adventure 3?
Talk about backseat fishing.
yeah, VR is one of those things where if someone or something were to gift me a VR headset, then I would give it a shot. But I'm not going to actively go on my way and buy
It's
one.
$300. You know,
know?
it's a prohibitively expensive because you can buy
Yeah.
6 games or a new console for that much money. So
Well, you
Even
need the
old
console
games,
to run some of these things.
Yeah, like even old games like Skyrim, Fallout 4 being on VR, it's like, yeah, but I would just get motion sickness after a while. It's not something I want to strap to my head for long periods of time. Most of these games are going to be like really short adventures, and it's a neat experiment. It's a neat like experience, but it's not something that I'm probably going to dust off and play again. And you know, it's great that technology can do this, but you spent all this time wondering if you could when you didn't wonder if you should, you know? I don't know. It's just not for me. I've never been a fan of VR. I've never been a fan of gimmicky things besides, you know, me with a controller, watching a TV, playing a game. I just prefer
I like
that kind of
trying
stuff.
it at cons and stuff, but that's about it.
I think
Yeah.
you know there's definitely an audience for VR, which is why it still exists. Like because the Oculus was announced like forever ago, and you know if it was gonna die, it probably would have already. It's kind of my thought. So there's an audience for this. The problem is that audience is niche, very very niche. It's tech nerds with enough money to buy these kinds of things and who really want to see like the next cutting edge kind of technology, and that's fine if you can afford it and you like those sort of things, have at it, have fun. But I'm
Yeah.
not sure if the
And-
E3 conference is where you should be presenting these sorts of things. I guess because most
And to
people
give credits-
can't afford this.
And to give credit where it's due, like I remember tons of people swore by the VR mode in Resident Evil 7. They said that was like one of the best ways to play that game because when you're avoiding the Baker family and all those weird creepy crawlies in the house in VR, in first person, it can be a really freaky, terrifying experience. But it's not for me. I don't care about this entire section. I'm not going to get any of these games. I like Final Fantasy 15, but I can fish in Final Fantasy 15, and I don't need a VR
I could fish
headset.
on the Dreamcast with my pole
If I can't hook in Leviathan, it's not even worth it. So.
I want to catch the sea creature, Leviathan, damn it.
Cup noodles again. Jesus Christ.
Another Hyrulean base.
So
I guess we can skip really the rest of the VR then.
Bravo Team, that was like the really
Generic
generic
Dude,
shooter.
yeah, I'd never been so unimpressed with a shooter in my life.
Yeah.
than what I saw with Bravo Team. I do not care.
Moss was the only kind of interesting thing in that whole VR segment, really, and that was like you were playing as the cute little mouse. And again, like that's also kind of another indie sort of generic indie stereotype, where it's just like, oh, look at the environments, look at the cute little animal you're playing. And I mean, sure, that's you can't knock what works, but like at least it was one thing that I appreciated about it is that it wasn't as dreary, because it was a very dark conference overall. There was a lot of very like dour feeling games the entire time. Like the only exceptions I can think of, very slow or very kind of dour games, because the only exceptions I can think of are Marvel, which people were unimpressed by. Final Fantasy 15, I guess, but that was like a 30-second trailer. Moss, and then Spider-Man, which was at the very, very end. So
Speediters.
Yeah, so I felt myself very kind of drained by this point in the conference as well, because it was just like, it was dark game after dark game after dark game. So
Speaking of, Dad of War returned again.
yeah, well, this was a dark game that actually looks good, so that helped.
Yeah, it looks much more sped up than it did last year, and I really appreciate it for that.
The acting for the kid is terrible, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really a fresh or unique observation, but this was not a great year for voice acting at E3.
We'll get to Nintendo later.
Oh, yeah, they were the worst, I will say. But, I mean, as somebody who hasn't played God of War, but has watched the commentary, I will say that I like the differences in the combat do feel pronounced, but not necessarily in a bad way. Like, it felt like every action you had in God of War, the new God of War, felt like it had a lot of weight. And so there was a lot of impact for every hit, which looked cool. Like, when you hit and then you saw the blood happen, it felt like it had a little bit more punch than what we saw when we were doing the God of War commentary, where it was just like, okay, you did the same combo where you knocked the guy into the ground and then he bounced back up like 30 times. So, like, I mean, this is probably the game out of all the God of War games that I'm the most interested in, coming from somebody who hasn't played one.
It's just because it's Norse for you, isn't it?
Actually, they didn't show that much Norse stuff this time. I did like that they showed some varied environments. That was cool. But it was mostly the differences in the combat that made it look interesting to me, personally.
Yeah, I just appreciate that it doesn't look quite as slow as it did last year.
That's true. It did look very, very slow last year.
John Clement, what do you think about Dad of War?
Well, again, I think we've gotten to this in the God of War commentary, but I think the slower gameplay is supposed to reflect how Kratos is just trying to settle down.
Calm the fuck down.
Keep it easy. Yeah. Yeah. That said, I think I'm getting the game, of course, but there's just some things I'm on the fence about. Like, I'm really interested, like, plot-wise, where the story's going. Like, at one point, is Kratos gonna lose it again? And by endgame, will he wield, like, whatever the game's version of the Blades of Chaos are, or Blades of Exile? Or is it... I don't know. Like, I'm really conflicted about this, just plot-wise.
I can guess exactly what's going to happen, and I can say it to you right now. Kratos is going to try to find redemption in helping this kid, and he's going to fuck up at one point, but then he's going to totally make it up, and yeah, it's going to be basically, if you've seen this kind of movie before, it's going to go exactly like that, basically. Like, maybe he'll be tempted by his anger or something, or whatever, and he'll fall off the deep end, but only for like 20 minutes, and then he'll be back to normal, and they'll hug and whatever. And yeah, I can say right now that's almost exactly how the story's probably going to go for this. And I mean, granted, story was never a super strong point for God of War from what I can tell, but
No.
Yeah, but I think that it's going to probably be pretty generic.
Robot zombie minotaurs.
Zombie minotaurs are cool. I'll give them that.
Robot zombie minotaurs.
Minotaurs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly a different enough take that, like, it I don't think it's going to feel like any kind of God of War game we've ever played, both in tone and gameplay. I just kind of need to see more of it in action, because I just don't know what to think about the combat. It seems dumbed down from all the other games, but maybe with the enemy variety, maybe with different weapons, maybe in action, it's a lot better, but I just see an okay game. I'm not seeing an amazing, gotta play that kind of experience. So it's a sit and wait situation for me. I'm interested to see where they go with the story, but yeah.
And unfortunately, it's also a next year game, which is a big theme for Sony and Nintendo this year.
Yeah, but God of War, I imagine being a November next year kind of game.
No, they said early next year.
They did? Okay, well
Yeah.
then that's going to be delayed till November next year, probably.
Probably.
Whereas for Nintendo, we'll get to it, but I can believe something like Kirby being like an early 2018 sort of game,
Yeah.
or stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I mean, granted, I feel like 2017 is probably going to be pretty late overall. Nobody
Yeah,
has
it's
a lot
been-
of stuff
it-
for later this year.
Yeah, it's besides the usual yearly stuff, which might explain why we got such a huge first half of this year.
Yeah, probably. So, I think everybody blew their loads and doesn't have anything left to go for the second half. But at least everybody gets to not have anything to play together. Yay. Moral of the story is to I don't know.
Do drugs, kids.
No, John, Dad, go to your room.
Listen, I could have sworn we were telling people to do
No,
drugs.
bad John.
Sorry.
Anyway, Detroit.
Moving on, we have David Cage's new game, which again, a big theme of Sony's conference we saw last year.
But that game
this-
never looked good.
Well, because it's David Cage.
Yeah.
This kind of disappointed me, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did prefer the last year's trailer over this.
Yeah, the last year actually.
because this one just makes it look like a generic, robots are taking over.
Yeah, like at least.
Or they're growing sentience. It's like, oh god, come on.
At least last year had an interesting kind of hook to it. I mean, granted, I didn't trust David Cage to tell this story competently at all. But, okay, it's just like, okay, you're playing as the robot, you're discriminated against, but you're still trying to, help humans or whatever. Not super original, but it did feel like there was something there, whereas here it's just like, oh, are you going to be... It's like...
Hey, baby, you want to kill all humans?
It's like, okay, you get to choose to be whether you want to be Magneto or Professor X, and that's it. That's your only sliding scale of choice, and it's just like, okay, there's going to be the bad ending where you destroy everything, and the good ending where everybody hugs and robots and humans are friends at the end. That's it. So it.
I mean, at the very least, I'm happy that it's not going to be like the Ellen Page game where everything was so railroaded, where if you purposefully screwed up every single QTE, it would always play out exactly the same way. I at least like the idea that it seems like we're going to be making a lot more impactful choices, but then again, that's just from this trailer. Who knows what the actual game's going to be like? Who knows if not choosing to destroy that robot shop and wake up those robots, maybe they'll wake up on their own later. I don't know.
So like a freak accident will happen. Like, oh, look, a bolt of lightning. Well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
You know?
That was a big thing.
A part of me just kind of wishes, midway through the game, it just becomes the neutral pathway of Shadow the Hedgehog. And
we just get all the Chaos Emeralds. And
karate
you-
chop.
you-
right in
I-
the
I-
face.
it's just shadow androids everywhere.
No, you
And-
go into another Android. You go into an Android person shop, but it's a toy Android person shop, so they're all cartoon characters, just androids. And then the Shadow one wakes up and is like, I am Shadow Android.
Am I a robot too?
I am Shadow Android, and androids will rule! What?
No!
Goodbye, David Cage.
Karate chop back.
I want this game to be stupid. I want it to be stupid. I'm hoping it's going to be so dumb.
Yeah, if it's dumb, in a heavy rain sort of dumb,
Yeah.
then yeah, I'll get it. Because I sort of unironically love Heavy Rain.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
son.
But it's like, part of that is because, cause it's kind of fucking ridiculous at points. But I like that sort of ridiculousness. And if Detroit can do the same thing, then sure, why not? I'll gladly cut my finger off.
What about halfway through when the robot uprising starts and then RoboCop jumps in because it's Detroit?
Then yeah, that's great. Oh, that'd be an awesome fucking plot twist. Like, it's a trailer for another RoboCop film. You know?
Directed by David Cage.
God damn it, I want you to feel!
Yeah.
Well, next we showed
Destiny, yay.
Destiny 2 comes out this year, so wait about 2 years before expansions come out before it actually becomes good.
Okay, the thing about Destiny that's always bothered me is it's just like exclusively on PlayStation 4 is this, but it's not actually on exclusive to PlayStation 4. This is like the better
timed
Destiny
exclusive.
experience is on PlayStation 4, and it's just like, okay, if you're gonna do all this, then why not just make it a PlayStation 4 exclusive? Like, come on, you're not fooling anybody. You all know that a lot of people are gonna play on Xbox, so why all of this? Like, okay, we're gonna pretend that we're buddy with Sony, but not go all the way. It's like, that's always bothered me about Destiny more than other kind of like, oh, look at all these, more than the other kind of like Microsoft saying, oh, this is exclusive to Xbox but also not really exclusive to Xbox. Like, this game specifically that's always bothered me the most. Destiny in general, but maybe it's just because it's been going on the longest. I don't know, but I never played Destiny. Does this look better than the first one?
Hard to say because there's like nothing they showed.
Okay, cool.
Never played the first one, so I wouldn't know.
I mean, it's not really open world, but it's kind of more just a first person shooter with adventure maps sort of thing, with RPG like quests, which is a fine enough idea, but it took so long to get going that a lot of people I know dropped it.
Yeah, I've not heard very impressive things about Destiny as a whole. Like, I've kind of heard it was a very lukewarm experience.
No, I heard it got really good after like the second expansion 2 years later.
Okay, well, that's fine, but that also was 2 years, and we don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It's like,
one.
okay, you announced Destiny 2. Who knows if it's actually going to be any good? If you're going to have to wait a few years for it to get going again.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, it could be spectacular after those 2 years, because that's what happened with Final Fantasy XIV, where a couple expansions later, it's basically a different game. But you also have to wait to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then they showed off
Arkham Spider-Man.
Arkham's, yeah, it basically is Arkham. To be fair, though, Arkham Asylum pulled a lot of stuff from Spider-Man, though, to start off with. So, dude, come on. Like, the hanging upside down from the gargoyles.
Batman's done that plenty of times before Spider-Man 2 became a game.
Yeah, but Spider-Man is cooler because he's better than Batman, because I said so.
At least this time when I say spider sense, it's accurate.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also no detective mode vision, so that you're seeing the entire game in blue for the entire game.
Yeah, but it also has tons of QTEs, which...
Oh, I thought we were done with that.
I thought we got rid of those for a reason.
Yeah. And there was also a very clear divide between gameplay graphics and cutscene graphics. Was I the only one who noticed that?
No.
Okay, apparently I was. It's just like I could always tell when something was like, when the game was loading up, like, oh, these are the cutscene graphics in the...
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay, sorry, I misheard you then. My bad. I mean, it looked fun, for sure. Like,
because it's borrowing like half of its gameplay from Arkham, which are good games.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
No, I'm not complaining either. I'm just saying it's like, okay, it's Arkham with Spider-Man. That's cool.
I love how interactable it is. I like how Spider-Man can literally like walk. He can pull like this little girder down and like hit a guy with the girder.
I think that's kind of his replacement for the gadgets that Batman has.
The web seemed very, very versatile, which I thought was really cool. It's just like, okay, like that's one of the big things about Spider-Man in general is the web. Is just like, okay, you can grab people, you can bring them to you, you can go to them, you can stick someone to the floor, you can shoot somebody with web balls, and it felt very. I mean, it's hard to tell without seeing the control scheme, but it looked like it didn't seem very clunky, which was a good thing because you don't want to have like 15 different buttons for all these different web moves, and like you don't know which one to use when or whatever. The one thing,
it looked like Mario was context sensitive than anything.
Like, I mean, that's fine if it works.
Yeah.
The big thing that I missed from the trailer is that we didn't see a lot of exploration or web swinging. And so we don't really know how that works. And that's, like, the most important thing about a Spider-Man game for me. So, yeah.
Chasing a helicopter all across New York, ramming into buildings and other shit. It's like, here in New York, where are all the other heroes? Avengers, help! Fantastic Four, help! Anyone?
Well,
there's like a hero every 2 blocks in the city.
Okay, well, to be fair, the Fantastic Four are like never at home because they're always underground, underwater, or in space or something. Like, what the hell's Daredevil gonna do? And I don't know. The Avengers are like fighting King the Conqueror or whatever. Who cares?
Also, Peter, aren't your webs like biodegradable? Isn't that crane gonna fall on the city streets in like half an hour?
Yeah, you better call somebody about that.
Didn't Batman kill those 5 people by knocking them off the cliff that one time? No, he didn't. No, they're fine. They survived the fall. It's okay.
They just have brain damage,
Yeah,
you know.
you don't think about superhero stuff too hard. Like,
I guess the big thing at the end was that they teased that Miles Morales might be playable.
that's cool, I guess.
The only thing worthwhile to come from the Ultimate Universe.
No, I still hold that the first 100 or so issues of Ultimate Spider-Man are fantastic, but basically everything else is terrible. You're right. But
Also, who the hell is Mr. Negative?
I've never heard of that villain in my life, so I've
had people tell me that he's like a newer villain. It's like I have no idea who this is.
Well, if he's a good villain, then maybe this game will give him some more spotlight. You know what? I'm actually okay with that. We don't need to do like Green Goblin again. We don't need to do Doctor Octopus again. Like if it's a new villain and they're trying to make him more fleshed out, then you know what? I'll welcome it. I'd love to see a different Spider-Man villain than the same ones we've seen over and over and over again.
As far as the game goes, the only one I'm worried about is, again, the QTEs. We got rid of those for a reason, and I don't want a game where every quote-unquote cinematic part of the game is going to be riddled with QTEs.
Yeah, that's I think a big...
Because there were a lot of them during that helicopter chase.
Yeah, there were a lot of them. Like, and some of them seemed decent. Like, the one that seemed decent-ish to me was the one at the end where, like, you mash the trigger buttons, was it, to, like, do the web in order to catch the helicopter? Like, that seems okay. Like, that's an okay QTE, but it's just like, oh, press X to dodge, or whatever. That's like, okay, we've been doing that since 2004. Please stop. I don't know, it just, like, it looked like a good game. It didn't seem like the kind of game you should end a conference like this on. I guess, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's also something they debuted last year. Mind you, we got gameplay, but, it's not going to come out till next year, and we knew it was coming, so just to kind of wind down on the Sony thing is that it felt like a repeat of last year.
Basically, yeah. But I feel like even if they didn't have... Like, I don't know what they could have shown that was this year to end off the conference, though, is the thing.
Well, the thing is, they didn't have anything this year.
Yeah.
You mean besides the obvious Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Yeah, but those aren't coming out for, like, another 4 years, John, so...
It's more like a decade, but...
Yeah, but, like, I'm just thinking, like, if you had... what they have here is just basically all they had in general... Why end on Spider-Man and not on God of War is just what I'm asking, because it feels like God of War just makes a little bit more sense, because that's inherently a Sony property, whereas Spider-Man, like, all things considered...
Well, it's an exclusive because it's being made by Insomniac.
It is an exclusive, but it's also, like, a licensed property. It didn't feel right ending on it, and in kind of a vague way for me, if that makes sense.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it does look like it'll be fun, but... I don't know. It didn't feel like it was the kind of thing that had the punch to end a conference on.
There is like no punch in this conference, really.
No, not really at all.
No,
I don't think there were any big reveals at all. Now that I'm looking.
Well, the only real reveal was Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Yeah, and if they had made a bigger deal
and that's technically a...
Yeah, if they had made a bigger deal about that could have ended a conference and had people go nuts. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Even with Xbox, I was like, ooh, Life is Strange. But, like, with Sony, I just did nothing. Okay, we've seen all this, and that's what kind of took away a lot.
And all the really good stuff that they showed was next year.
Yeah. So there was no excitement for me because it was just very, like, I was waiting for that big thing. I was waiting for that, oh my god, I can't believe they got it. And I didn't get it, so. It wasn't bad. It was just kind of expected, and
the general consensus is that Microsoft had a better conference, right?
Generally,
I think
yes.
so.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, just wanted to make sure, because again, I haven't seen Microsoft for myself, but yeah. So then we have okay, I don't know if Nintendo has a stranger presentation than Sony. It was definitely bizarre watching it. I will say that.
Well, first they started with a scissor wheel of esports.
Okay, so they showed, so the one thing that I didn't want them to do this year was show ARMS in Splatoon 2 to a great degree. Like, I kind of wanted them to just keep that to their keep that to their
Tournaments.
to their tournaments, and that's it. So when they first showed that ARMS footage at the beginning, I was like, oh my god, they are not wasting 3 minutes of this 25-minute direct on fucking ARMS, which comes out this week. But then it was like, oh, it's just a general sizzle reel. Okay, phew. So I kind of, and I mean, granted, they did end up showing ARMS in a presentation for Treehouse Live, which is
Well, Treehouse is its own thing, so
like, I mean, I
more
would have rather
excusable
seen
there, but, yeah.
something else personally. At least
yeah,
first,
they really had no reason to show ARMS, but at least they kept it to Treehouse and not the hyped up
yeah.
spotlight thing.
At least, like, I mean, I would have rather that they didn't show much Splatoon 2 at the Treehouse either, because that game's not too far away, and you know it's getting its own direct anyhow. But at least for that, they showed off the Salmon Run mode, which we hadn't seen a lot of. It's not like they just showed generic matches, which is what they did for ARMS. They just showed some generic versus matches, and it's just like, okay, that's great, but reviews for that game are already out. There's plenty of footage to look up. So, yeah, but let's talk about what they actually did show, which...
They started off with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which... Take this.
It's hard for me. I never finished the original Xenoblade Chronicles.
It's one of those cases where it looks fine enough, but to me, it's like this franchise is too big for its own good.
I played about 40 hours of the original Xenoblade Chronicles, and
Only.
Yes, only. You can finish some other RPGs in that time. And I just got to the point where the battle music changed to mechanical rhythm. So from what I tell, that's like the halfway point. And I liked it. It's just, it didn't click with me. It wasn't my kind of game. So, like, I mean, it does, for people who like Xenoblade, it definitely seems to be more akin to the first Xenoblade Chronicles than X. And so I know some people had issues with X. But the big thing...
Yeah. Now it's super anime.
Yeah, the big thing about it is that, A, the voice acting was awful. Like, not just bad, terrible. And the environments, I should stress, and the monsters look great, but it feels like you copied and pasted the characters out of some random shonen anime that was, like, canceled after half a season.
Yeah, look at this girl companion who has huge boobs and is wearing, like, no clothes.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, look at the sexy girl who is also a sword. Okay, that's so many Freudian implications there, but we won't get into that. I mean, it's also, thankfully, that's also a game that is coming out this year. So
they say.
So they say. Like, they're sticking by that, though. They said it was coming out 2017 when they first showed it, and people were like, really? And so if they were going to announce a delay, they probably would have done it here. So, you know, for the time...
I guess, but I'm still not 100% certain they're going to do that.
I think that
it's still better than Xenoblade Chronicles X, which felt like it took forever to come out.
Yeah.
You know?
So, like, I mean, granted... I feel like I can see it coming out this year. Like, I don't think it's likely that it'll be delayed, is the thing. Like, it's not impossible, but not likely. So, and I mean, so people who like Xenoblade, I'm sure will like it. It's just, It
was never my thing in the first place, and going super anime isn't doing anything for me.
Yeah, I don't see how this converts people who weren't sold on it to begin with, I suppose, is the big thing for me.
John, what do you have to say about it?
Looks good.
You're not John. I think John
sorry.
got up. But no, I was going to say, you've actually played a lot of Xenoblade, so you probably had the most to say about this than any of us, right?
Yeah, I played Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii, and then I got X, but I didn't spend a lot of time with X because I got kind of fed up with it. I hated that the enemies were, like, always so much higher than you everywhere you walked. Because, like, that just drove me nuts about the world map.
Higher in elevation or higher in level?
Level.
In level? Oh, so, like...
Like, even the main, like, first map you're on, you're still... Every time you had to go to, like, a main quest, you had to keep going to, like, these areas where things were, like, 20 levels higher than you. So I was always running away, hugging rocks. Like, that's stuff I was never doing in the first Xenoblade Chronicles, and it just wasn't my kind of game. If this one's a single-player, story-based, Xenoblade game like the first one, then I'm probably going to enjoy it a lot more.
That appears to be what it is, based on, from the stuff I've seen.
It looks good. It's not blowing me away. Xenoblade Chronicles isn't one of my top 10 RPGs ever.
How dare you say that Xenoblade's perfection?
Don't get Emil riled up.
I wasn't feeling it. But
it's such a joker.
But we mustn't be careless.
Quote here.
It was good. I like Xenoblade Chronicles. It just wasn't one of my top 10 favorites. So I'm not super excited for this. It's like, when I get a Switch, I might pick it up. But I'm still waiting for a Mario Odyssey before I'll get a Switch.
We'll get to Odyssey.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely get to that.
Next up, they had a bit of a surprise. Is Kirby.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a surprise because honestly, like, okay,
I said a bit of a surprise, but
like I think a new Kirby game could kind of be expected. Like Kirby's never really gone away. They've been releasing new games relatively frequently, and that's great. I love Kirby. Like I freaked out when I saw that trailer because I'm the huge Kirby guy.
Weapon combinations are back.
So
or sorry, not weapon power combinations are back.
So here's the thing. I was thinking back to when we did our Triple Deluxe commentary, and I believe at one point somebody asked, so what would you think if they brought back power combinations? And at the time, I think I said something like, oh, I don't know if I'd necessarily like them to come back. Like, I think that they'd have to do something new with them. At the time I said that, I can confirm now that was 100% bullshit. I really don't care. Power combinations are back, and that's awesome. Like, at first I was a little bit worried because they were just kind of doing the kind of generic stuff from Squeak Squad, where it's just like, okay, you get a fire sword. It's basically the same moves, but a fire element, water bombs, water hammer. But then you got stuff like the ice and stone making the curling stone. So I do think that while it might not be full-on 64... we are still going to get some unique stuff, and there also was some other cool things hidden in that trailer, like
the cat animal friend is back from for the washer thing. And,
there was cleaning Kirby. You would get enemy buddies again, which I don't think we've seen since Superstar. So that's cool. It'll be co-op, 4-player co-op, like Return to Dreamland. The game looks really nice already. It's just going to be a solid game, I think, all around.
But it's 2018.
Yeah, but since it's a Kirby game and they generally don't take that long to make, I can imagine that being in early 2018.
I wouldn't expect anything other than early 2018 for Kirby.
Yeah, whereas we'll get to Yoshi in a little bit. I think that is more likely to be like a midsummer, winter kind of game. When they say 20, like, I mean, granted, all they are giving us is 2018, but you can kind of guess given the kind of games that they're supposed to be. I think Kirby will see 2028, early 2018. But honestly, what was really disappointing was that it just said Kirby 2018. It's just like you don't even have a title yet, guys. I don't know, something about just not knowing what the title's supposed to be. By this point, it's just like, okay, it feels very kind of unfinished when you don't even have an official title. It's just like, okay, we're announcing Mario. Mario what? Mario.
Yeah. Well, it's clearly not finished.
No, it's clearly not finished. Yeah. They probably only have a working gameplay engine and the bare basics at this point. Like, I doubt they've got anything resembling a storyline or a general, like, aesthetic theme or anything like that. Who is
Kirby going to kill this time?
Like, well... a lot of the 3DS stories are actually very dark, if you read the positives.
Kirby is always very dark when you actually look at it.
Yeah, but it looks like it's going to be another solid Return to Dreamland-styled Kirby game, which, like, I'm excited because I'm a Kirby fan, but, like...
I mean, I'll pick up the game and I'm sure I'll enjoy it, but...
It's not...
it's not really much new.
It's not going to blow anybody away. It's going to suck you in because it's a Kirby game. Har, 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 I'm fine.
Oh, by the way, during the... lead into that, they showed a pirate imagery.
Oh, I thought that they
were...
I thought that was just like, oh my god. When I first saw that, it was just like, oh, there's Nintendo doing a pirate game too, really. But yeah, I mean, it looks great. I'm gonna play it for sure, but I think I really need more information for that as well. So
speaking of complete and utter lack of information, we went down to Ishihara from Game Freak, and he talked about Pokken DX, which
yeah. That exists.
You told us last week this didn't need to be here.
Yeah, but
then they talked about a core Pokemon RPG for the Switch, which A, we all knew they were going to do eventually because it's basically their new handheld, and B, they said nothing about it, just that it's coming.
I expect that we see our first information about this game like early next year. If we're lucky, the game comes out late 2018, maybe early 2019. That's a little shaky.
Yeah, and I'm expecting it to basically, once they use core Pokemon RPG, I'm just going to assume Gen A, they just didn't say so because they want Ultra Sun and Moon to do well.
No.
It can't be anything else. No. I mean, you say
what
core
else
RPG.
would it be? Like, Pokemon Coliseum again?
Pokemon Coliseum 2.
No, technically 3 because it's XD was
Battle Revolution.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Guys, I need my puzzle league.
Pokemon trading card game.
Puzzles Challenge is better, dude. Man, Game Boy Color for the win.
Pokemon Pinball 3.
Yeah.
But it's incredible though. I mean, if it is truly well, I mean, we say Gen 8, but what if it was actually like the Gen 4 remake everyone's kind of asking for? Like on the
Man,
Switch.
I had a little bit of a sinister smile when I saw the salty Gen 4 fanboys and fangirls angry that they didn't get their remake. You know, not that I'm bitter or petty or anything. Oh, I would never. Like, to kind of step back and justify that opinion out of something other than just, liking to see people be upset. I feel like Gen 4, even though I personally dislike the game, I don't feel like it really needs a remake because you can easily get Gen 4
All the
stuff
Pokemon, all the Pokemon are still fairly easy to get, which was the point of the remakes in the first place.
Not to mention that gameplay-wise, not much has changed since Gen 4. It's mostly been added gimmicks and things like that, like Z moves and Mega Evolutions and stuff.
Yeah, Ultra Beasts or whatever.
The reason why Gen 1 got a remake was exclusively because Ruby and Sapphire's National Pokedex sucked. Like, that was the only reason why that got remade. And
it became impossible to transfer Pokemon over.
And Gen 2 got remade as well because, again, it was like transfer Pokemon for... Oris kind of got remade, I don't know, out of obligation, I guess, because, it is also hard to get some of those Gen 3 Pokemon because you don't have the GBA connectivity anymore. But, like, the 3DS is still there. You can still get anything from Gen 4 on very, very easily. And there's not much to change or update now. So, I don't expect to see that being remade until Gen 8. And if they do remake it, I hope... Which, honestly, I think that they probably will eventually, because that's money.
Oh, though, I mean, they're pretty good on making the remakes just inherently better than the games they're remaking.
I'm sure it'll be better than Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. I'm sure I'll enjoy it more. But I can't say that even with the improvements that it'll ever be one of my favorite Pokemon games. So, yeah.
Well, you just get rid of all the fucking 8 gems and speed up battles, and I think it's alright as is.
I mean, I have issues with the story structure, and that National Dex has never been one of my favorites. The Gen 4 designs are not. I'm not a
Which
fan.
one of that had only one fire type besides the starter?
I think that was either Diamond Pearl, one of Gen 4. I think it was just Chimchar and Ponyta for one version. And those were like your only choices.
Oh, wow.
And for the longest time, I thought it was Gen 3 that was the worst, because you had a whole 3 choices other than the starter in that game. Woo. Wow, so much variety. But the
idea of a core Pokemon game being on the Switch, I mean, a game that looks like Pokken Tournament, but it's the actual RPG, is something I want so badly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Again, they just said we're making one. Bye.
Yeah, it's for me.
But it promotes this. But it's good to have confirmation to promote discussion.
Yeah.
That is true, but we'll definitely be getting to this with the next thing we're talking
E3.
about. No, for the next game we're going to be talking about. It's hard for me to get excited for something when all I know is that it exists, because I have nothing to latch onto. Speculation is fun, but it's only so much fun when you have a base to build off of. Other than that, it's just...
Or when you have a YouTube channel that thrives on it. Thank you for subscribing to BrainScratch Commentaries.
It's just, other than that, it's just guessing, is the thing. Cause...
Well, I think this is one of those rare exceptions where it's okay to do that, because it's Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. Okay.
It's one of those where I don't want to say they've been ignoring it, because it's not like it's been horribly long between
okay,
this
Metroid
and Other M.
Other M was 2010.
7 years since Other M, 10 years since Prime.
Yeah,
3.
and also Federation. Let's count Federation Force because it does exist. 6 years. That's okay. That's a decent gap, but it's not nearly as. It's about the same amount of a gap as
between Super Nintendo,
and
Super Metroid, and Fusion. Yeah,
I think Metroid is not the kind of franchise that. I think that mid-2000s era was really the exception rather than the rule, where Nintendo doesn't see the need to make a new Metroid game every year, the same way that Zelda and Mario get brought out as much. And I mean, granted, everybody on my timeline blew up when they saw that Giant 4, and that music.
The stars formed the screw attack, which I caught on before everyone else. It seems 'cause one of the things I like to do, just kind of out of curiosity, is watch reaction videos for the big announcements, just to kind of see how people flip out about certain things, and no one caught on to the fact that it becomes the screw attack until way later than I did.
For me, it was the music cues. Like, I knew it was Metroid as soon as it was like that kind of distorted sound, because it's the beginning of the Metroid Prime theme song, and I'm super familiar with that because that's one of my favorite tracks from Metroid. So
I had a similar thing with the Final Fantasy VII Cloud being on Smash Brothers, because they did the whole opening theme through the stars. As soon as that started, I was like, Final Fantasy VII, and so many other reaction people didn't know until it started, like the Final Fantasy logo showed up, and I was just like, no, that's Final Fantasy VII.
You clearly have not listened to that soundtrack as often as we have, because the soundtrack's a dead giveaway. You plebs, don't get out, and thank you for subscribing.
So, John, I need you to explain what your actual physical reaction was when you saw that thing pop up, because you, out of everybody here, I have to imagine, is the most excited for Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, the moment I noticed the stars forming the screw attack S, I had the biggest, goofiest fucking grin on my face. But at the same time, my immediate reaction was just to type that nonsense I had on my Twitter feed. Because it was instant. It was instant. The reaction I had, and it was, I don't know, man. It just felt good to finally get. I mean, granted, we know nothing about the game.
No.
Just that it's being made.
We know that it's not being made by Retro. It's being made by a different team. Which also begs the question: what the hell is Retro Studios doing? Because they've been working on a game since Tropical Freeze came out, and that's 2013. So 4 years? What are they making?
To show.
Yeah, what are they making? It can't be a Donkey Kong game, because that would be out by now if they were working on a Donkey Kong game. I think. Not that I don't like the Donkey Kong games, the Donkey Kong Returns games very much. So, but I know a lot of people do. This isn't trying to knock those. It's just they don't take 4 years to make, is just what I'm saying. So, yeah, what the hell are they working on? That's beside the point, though.
It's just nice to get. This is, compared to Kirby or Yoshi, this is one that I think it was okay just to get confirmation on.
You know what I think okay, so I was kind of thinking about, okay, I don't get super excited when they just show, a trailer, just show a title, I should say, or just say that it's coming, but I definitely had a much bigger smile on my face when I heard Metroid Prime 4 than when I saw Pokemon, even though I'm a bigger Pokemon fan than a Metroid fan. But
Pokemon comes out all the time.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's just it's been so long since there's been a core Metroid game that I feel like they could kind of get away with it a little bit better than just saying okay, we're making a new Pokemon, where the assumption is, of course, they're making a new Pokemon game, whereas the joke has been that Nintendo forgot that Samus existed. So, I mean, granted, I would have preferred at least a little something, even if it was a 2-second CG clip of Samus shooting or whatever, but
just show the Metroid Prime commercial again.
Yeah, or a brief CG clip of Silex chasing after Samus' ship or something.
Yeah, so I mean, something would have been nice, but I mean, granted, this is probably the biggest announcement from the show for a lot of people, and I can understand why. Absolutely. So, personally, I got more excited about the other Metroid announcement, but we'll get to that later.
Should we put onto it right now, or?
Yeah, we might as well while Metroid.
So yeah, we have another Metroid 2 remake.
Dude, this caught me off guard.
It caught everyone off guard.
So it was.
I again, just to set up the moment, I got a dual monitor setup, and I was talking with folks on the right side of the screen. The left side of the screen, I have full screen the Treehouse stream, and I catch glimpse of Samus's gunship. And it just took me 5 seconds to register what was happening on the screen. And then it's I did a triple take. It's wait, what is this?
So what was happening then is that I watched the Super Mario Odyssey presentation they had.
Of course, because it's fucking.
That looks awesome. We'll get to that.
We'll get to it.
I was they're taking a 5-minute break. Okay, cool.
And then we're gonna show something for 3DS. Okay, fine.
Yeah, but
whatever.
Here's the thing. I was okay, they're going to take a break, and then show something else. Cool. I'm going to get up and make a sandwich. I come back with the sandwich in my hand, and I see the Metroid Samus Returns logo, and I'm like, I get up for 3 minutes, and you show a freaking Metroid 2 remake.
I drop the sandwich and make another one.
It's like that gif where the guy comes in with the pizza and everything's on fire.
Yeah.
I mean,
There were so many reactions to that.
At least we now know why Nintendo was so adamant on taking down AM2R.
Yeah.
Which I wish they had been more clear about that.
They couldn't, though, because then it would ruin the surprise.
Yeah, but at the same time, then you just piss everyone off for a while.
I mean, there are some people who seriously believe that Nintendo copied AM2R, and I just...
No, but I would still put money on that it did influence their decision.
I think maybe it influenced their decision to show it at E3 rather than at a general direct. But I feel like Nintendo probably had the idea of remaking Metroid 2 as early as Zero
I wouldn't be 100% sure.
I'm sure it got thrown around in a boardroom at the very least.
Here's the thing. It's hard to tell because Nintendo never talks about anything like this.
No, they don't.
That's the problem.
And the fact that ultimately AM2R has been quote-unquote in development since like 5 years or so now. Longer than that, really.
10 years.
I'm just
So
saying,
it's one of those, I'm betting money that it influenced something.
I will give Nintendo, because I'm with Ted on this one, that ideas get scrapped and canned all the time. I am willing to give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt that a Metroid 2 remake was on the cards since Zero Mission.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I believe that Samus Returns has probably been in development for like 18 months. Probably. So it probably was well in the way into at least like pre or alpha development by the time that copyright thing happened. Because there's no way you make a game that looks like that on 3DS in the 6 months since that copyright junk happened. And it's coming out in like 3 months from now, so it's like pretty much
fucking.
done.
Just this is a side thing. It's weird. I'm getting more games for my 3DS this holiday season than I am the Switch.
I mean, they wanted to go out with a bang because 2018 is probably going to be the last year for the 3DS. Let's be honest. But you know,
Yeah.
It's not a matter of it being. I hope it's the last year.
I love my 3DS, but we do need to move on, I think, is the thing. So I'm glad that the last couple of games coming out for it do look this good. But Samus Returns looks awesome. Can we talk about the squishy Metroid amiibo, which, oh my god, just looks so good.
Nintendo's gone too far.
You make a Metroid and you poke it and it's squishy. Oh my god. Do you have yours?
Literally, it's like you attach it to your wallet and it sucks the life out of it.
Yeah, and John, special edition.
Yeah, I know, and I'm hoping like when soon as pre-orders go live for that, I'm on that.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
poor
May
John. 2
1.
Metroid games, amiibo, just special edition.
Dude, that Samus amiibo looks phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's amazing how much better they've gotten in the 3 years since they've announced. Like, cause the Samus one from Smash Wave 1 is actually one of the better Wave 1 amiibos, but that one just looks phenomenal. The Metroid series one.
Yeah.
I just love the design of the various suit, the helmet design, everything.
The Metroid
about this.
2
Shoulder
pose
pads.
is- The Metroid 2 pose as well is really cool as well. So
Yeah,
um
it's just well established. I'm just glad this is a thing that exists. Sure, I mean at the end of the day, I would at some point want a continuation after Fusion, but this is a really good stepping stone.
yeah.
Yes.
And I'm
So
hoping to
so
God
everyone
it
who's
sells
even
well.
remotely interested, just buy this game so Nintendo won't take another 8-year break.
Show them where the money's at.
So what did you think of the actual gameplay stuff from
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Like, I usually prefer 2D Metroid over Prime Metroid, and so I'm definitely more excited for Samus Returns than I am Prime 4. That's just me. But even with the gameplay trailers and the stuff I was watching in not the direct, but the Treehouse, I love the fact that Samus has this nice counter move where, like, she can actually melee things away and actually, like, knock people up and, like, hit them. And it seems like the diagonal shooting is a lot more fluid than it's ever been. It seems like you're going to use the control stick to, like, aim at any specific thing you're trying to shoot now, which I really, really love how that whole thing works. And, you know, anything that's a remake of the Game Boy game 2 that I don't want to play in this day, 2017, I'm all for, you know. I'm so glad it's a remake of 2 so that, like, Zero Mission, Samus Returns, Super Metroid, Fusion, like, those are all great games that I like. And, I don't have to go back to the archaic 1 and the archaic 2 on Game Boy.
Yeah.
So,
The
yeah.
biggest thing for me is that they added a Breath of the Wild styled map pin feature, because like the most annoying part of any Metroidvania styled game is, oh crap, there was that missile expansion I missed. I can do that now. Where is it?
But now I gotta go all the way.
No, it's
now I gotta go all the way back.
well, no, the teleport system is fine. It's just the matter of, okay, I remember that this existed. I don't remember where it is. So, like, being able to mark, okay, I can come back here later with Morphball bombs, or I can come back here later with Plasma Beam, that is going to make 100% in the game so much easier now. And it's just, like, I'm sure it was inspired by Breath of the Wild, and that's good, because it's a good choice. I like that. That was the thing that excited me the most out of everything we showed. It's just like, yes, I will never forget a missile expansion ever again. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I think it's just a continuation of the concept they had since Zero Mission Infusion, because in Zero Mission Infusion, any item that you didn't get was a big circle.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, there's also stuff where it's just, like, something looks suspicious, like, at the top of the screen, maybe you can't reach it. That doesn't that's not always shown on the map, is also the thing.
Right. All right, so you're just talking about, like, breakable objects entirely, not so much item
I can
expansions.
micromanage my map and have everything that looks even a little bit suspicious marked clearly, so I know exactly where to go at any given point, at any given time. Like, you should see my Breath of the Wild map. It is a mess, but I like it that way. So that was the most exciting feature for me, and I hope that if Prime 4 has something similar as well. So that would be cool. So yeah, is there any other Metroid talk that you guys wanted to bring up? Because I know that was the big thing.
Captain Falcon on the left, Samus on the right. Gee, Samus, how come Nintendo lets you have 2 games?
They forgot my 25th birthday.
Twice.
So anyway, after that they showed Yoshi, which I do think is a nice break. Like, that was the best time to show it, because the game does look good, but it's also a very slow-paced game. So it was something for people to kind of appreciate and get you to calm down after Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I was having like 6 different orgasms after Prime 4's announcement that I kind of just glossed over the Yoshi game.
Yeah, that was the thing I noticed in the reaction videos. It's like everyone got so pumped up about Prime 4, they kind of glossed over Yoshi entirely.
It looks good. It's definitely a much slower paced game than Woolly World, and Woolly World is not really a super fast game to begin with.
I'm hearing some form of content in your voice.
Like, okay, here's the thing: you can play Woolly World fast if you want to. Like, you
But then
can
you're not getting
you can.
speed run through that game. Like, you could. Whereas this new Yoshi game, I watched the gameplay footage on Treehouse. It's very much a methodical. Okay, you got to look at the background. This looks weird. I should throw an egg at it. Oh, it reveals this. It is not going to be, I think, a super satisfying game to hop and bop through. I think it is definitely for those.
Yoshi can make eggs by swallowing enemies, but what does it mean?
What does it mean?
I think I've just accepted that I don't really like the Yoshi series.
Yeah.
Same.
I love
same here.
Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo. That was a great game. I love that one. But even
Woolly
in
World's better than Yoshi's
2016,
Island, though.
no.
Oh,
I.
come at me.
Dude.
But
Even in 2016, when I try to go back to Yoshi's Story, because I'm like, and when I was a kid, I didn't like Yoshi's Story. Maybe it's way better as an adult. Maybe I never appreciated it for what it was.
Nope.
I play Yoshi's Story, I'm like, ugh. I don't like this.
yeah,
I don't know. I played Woolly World. I thought, if you're going for 100% completion, it's way too slow. And if you're just going through all the levels, it's pretty easy and just kind of forgettable. I didn't think much of Woolly World, honestly.
I liked it, but
So-
that I think it's a game. I think more than any of the other Nintendo platformers, Yoshi is catered to a specific taste. I think is the big thing. So if
Yeah.
you like that kind of game, I think it'll probably be a lot of fun, and it's certainly adorable from what I've seen. Like, there's a lot of graphical detail. So I'm glad that that's kept from Woolly World. It's just, again, I feel like it's especially hard to feel super impressive, especially right after that big bombshell Metroid Prime 4 announcement. So,
Yeah.
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 You're gonna have to be our far boy, Yoshi.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so the next announcement after that was Fire Emblem Warriors.
Oh, Wake of Fates.
Okay. Okay, first off, the voice acting in that trailer was awful too.
Omega Fates.
Yeah, like even beyond just the roster issues, the gameplay they showed, it's Hyrule Warriors again. Like just
Well, I mean, it's a Muso game, so what did you expect?
but like most of the if you compare say Dragon Quest Heroes in Hyrule Warriors, or even Hyrule Warriors in a Dynasty Warriors or a Samurai Warriors game, or like to the One Piece Muso games, like there's at least some subtle differences. Whereas in a Fire Emblem Warriors and Hyrule Warriors are literally the exact same game, where it's the same kind of setup where there's bases that you capture and there's outposts and whatever. And like even Xander, who's on the horse, has very similar combos to Link when he's riding Epona and Hyrule Warriors. They are almost note for note the exact same game. And I did put like over 800 hours combined between the two versions of Hyrule Warriors.
When are you going to get the 100%?
Dude, I'll get there eventually. It's gonna take a while, but I'll get there eventually. But like, I mean, it didn't feel like it was as interesting is the thing. Like, I know that people were saying, oh, they should do a Fire Emblem.
Well, they should have done a Fire Emblem one because there's a lot more characters you can use, but apparently they don't want to do that.
And also, the combat it seemed very standard, especially in comparison to because the two I've played the most are Dragon Quest Heroes and Hyrule Warriors. And those games, you have a lot more flashy and cool kind of moves that you can do that affect the battlefield a little bit more differently, where you can where like in Hyrule Warriors, for instance, you can use the fire rod and shoot fire all over the place, or in Dragon Quest Heroes you can like cast different spells or do like stats and stat affecting things, and it's more kind of RPG focused that way. Whereas at least from what they showed, it was just guys with swords. Everybody.
There are too many sword users. Makes 3 new characters that only use swords.
Yeah, but it just because of that, the combos they all kind of bled in together, and I'm sure characters like Robin, who is going to be in the game at some point, he'll probably use magic, and that'll be a little bit different. But honestly, I might skip this one and just wait for the Hyrule Warriors 2, which we all know will happen. Because that will have characters from Breath of the Wild, which will probably have cooler movesets. It'll probably have a more in-depth side mode, because the Colosseum mode they showed off didn't look nearly as in-depth as the adventure mode from Hyrule Warriors, where I spent a good 80% of my playtime. It just looked very unimpressive all around, really. Fire Emblem Warriors was probably the least impressive game that I otherwise would have been interested for the entire conference for me, unfortunately. And it's
for me, it's as an older Fire Emblem fan, just I totally fine with the focus being on the newer, more popular games, but to outright omit everything except for Marth and apparently Tiki is kind of, I don't want to say insulting, but it's kind of like, then why are you making a crossover game?
I think the big thing about this kind of game is that this is the sort of thing that you use to introduce people
other
to
characters.
other characters. Like in
Yeah.
a more
It's like Fire Emblem only got over here because of Smash Brothers. Use this opportunity to use the other games.
Yeah, because and this is definitely a more in-depth way to do it than like Fire Emblem Heroes, where you pull some random person you don't know. It's just like, okay, you can see why Sigurd is cool, or I don't really actually know very much about a lot of the older Fire Emblems. This is coming as somebody who Awakening is my favorite Fire Emblem game. So.
But here's a question, though. Are we talking introducing other Fire Emblems to Fire Emblem fans?
To newbies. To people who...
To newbies. But why would a newbie consider Fire Emblem Warriors in the first place?
Because Awakening
they liked Awakening and Fates.
John, let me put it this way. It's kind of like introducing... This is the kind of game that would introduce Final Fantasy 1 through 6 characters to somebody who had only ever played Final Fantasy 7. This is the kind of thing. We're just like, okay, they're going to buy this spin-off game because Cloud...
Yeah, they'll buy the Dissidia fighting game because, it has Cloud and...
But this is also going to introduce them to Kain and Cecil or Terra and Kefka or whatever. Whereas here, it's just like, if you played Awakening and loved it, you're going to buy this Fire Emblem Warriors spin-off, and it's just characters you know. You're not introduced to any of these older characters, and you're not going to expand your interest in the series at large. You're only going to stick to those 2-3 games out of 15 that exist right now.
And again, they complain about sword users. It's like, well, then why isn't Hector in the game? He's a main character who wields an axe.
Yeah.
What about all the other main characters from other games that use magic? It's like, you have plenty of other characters to use, and you're not using them.
Yeah. So, but John, you were going to say something. What's that?
No, that's all I want
Oh,
to say.
okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. Sorry, I thought you. Yeah. Like
So yeah, Metroid.
My thoughts are, it looks like another Warriors game. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean that's where I kind of stand at it too. Is like I've been playing Dynasty Warriors since the second game, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's another Warriors.
You know what
game.
it kind of reminds me of right now with all of these spin-offs? It actually kind of reminds me of the Lego games, actually, where it's just like, okay, if it's a franchise you really like, you'll probably jump in and have a good time. But if you don't, you won't care. So it's just like, for me, I like Marvel, so I'll like Lego Marvel, but I don't care about Harry Potter, so I won't like Lego Harry Potter. So if they made Metroid Warriors, I'm sure John would be all over that. But
Well, with all two
Samus
characters
and
they have,
other-
Samus and
yeah,
Zero Suit.
Samus and Zero Suit Samus.
Adam,
No,
okay.
You're not authorized to use them.
give me Emerald.
No,
Dang,
no,
Emerald.
you tell the enemies that they're not authorized to use their attacks, and then you kick them in the balls. I'd play that character. You would too. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. So that's it for Fire Emblem Warriors. Then they showed off some Breath of the Wild DLC, which is a bit confusing because everything they showed for Pack 1, which comes out in a few weeks, we already knew.
We got, like, honestly, I think that they should have saved those details for this E3 reveal, because they did a much better job explaining it all here than they did, like, a month or two ago when they...
Like, the only new stuff they showed was the amiibo for the other characters, which is cool, and they teased the second one, but they didn't say what it was.
Okay, well, first off, the amiibo do look really cool. I do want them. Although
Except for Urbosa.
Oh, the stupid stand, yeah.
The stick is right up her ass. Like, god damn.
Mifa also kind of has early amiibo face going on, too, which is unfortunate.
Early amiibo.
Where's my Sidon amiibo?
You know they're going to customize Mifa to make them. And actually, Rivali's a dick, so I don't even want his. So I'm going to enjoy my Daruk amiibo very, very much.
I want my Sidon amiibo so you can have him at all times so you can tell me that I can believe in myself.
Yeah. Actually, honestly, I think the Urbosa would probably stand without it, so you could probably just, like, cut that thing off, you know. But
Yeah, it's like the first DLC pack we already knew, and you told us nothing about the second one, so...
I mean, the DLC does look good for the first pack.
I look forward to an actual, Pit of 100 trial sort of thing actually being good for once.
Also, apparently, hard mode is its own save slot, so you don't have.
Thank you.
I mean, I would have liked to have more than one to begin with because that is, but whatever. Like, I'll take it.
We'll take it.
Yeah. I would have liked a little bit more clarity on the Breath of the Wild second pack, which is the more interesting of the two. Like, the implication in what people are guessing is that you get to play as the other champions, which would be neat, especially if they have their own...
But they didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah, so it was kind of a weird point as well to me. So, like, I mean, I'll probably get it, but it's not a must-get, like, day one kind of thing for me. It's one of those things where I might pick up the game again this winter and try out the new... hard mode or whatever after I play the new story content, as opposed to, okay, I need to get the hard mode and whatever right now, right when it first releases. Because that comes out like 2 weeks from now. It's the 30th.
Yep.
So, yeah, so it's not...
Like a week after ARMS, which everyone will just go play Zelda again instead of ARMS.
Well, we'll see how well that game does.
And then they showed some Mario and Rabbids again, which we already talked about.
Rocket League was actually, it's the only third-party game they really showed. I think they showed FIFA for 30 seconds, but...
And it's another one of those cases where, yeah, I'm glad we have it, but it's a game I can already play.
Well, here's the thing why Rocket League fans are excited. I've never played it, but for one, the portability, like, you really couldn't play this game portable.
Yeah, like I said, it's good to have, but it's just one of those, the game's already out.
Also, it's cross-platform. You can play with Xbox and PC people. Rocket League. So for one, that hints at good things to come for the future of the Switches Online. So, like, if they ever ported Overwatch to the Switch, like, we might get cross-platform play with that. Another thing is Actually, no, that was the only thing. Actually, the only company that seems to not be playing along for cross platforms in terms of Rocket League is Sony, because I believe you can't match up with anybody other than PC if you're on Sony.
The same with Minecraft.
Yeah, so
Which I understand why, but that's still kind of a dick move.
yeah, I mean, I know that you're never going to get these three companies to get along, but at least an effort would be nice. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't played it, so I probably should at least try Rocket League at some point, but I kind of have to be picky about which games I get these days, because money is a thing. So, I'm probably
Well, then we ended with the game that everyone is going to get. Mario Odyssey. God damn, that song is amazing.
Oh, man, I've had it on repeat, like, the entire fucking time, and it's like, you want to know what it reminded me of hearing City Escape for the first time, actually. It's just like, oh, man, this is so good. Like, I mean, it's lame, but it's also so good. So, yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised how much I loved the trailer after the first one, because I thought after the first one, it's like, what could they do to surprise me? I'm already on board. It's already going to be awesome. And then they showed me all the possession and the clothing options.
It's not possession. It's capture.
The capture. And I was just like, oh my god, I want it even more. What the hell?
That was, I think, the best single trailer that they showed for the entire conference, I think, personally.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, this is easily looking to be my game of the year.
Yeah.
For 2017. Now, I'm saying this is someone that, like, or Metroid Samus Returns is a thing, but god damn, does Mario Odyssey look phenomenal.
Yeah, I took seeing the gameplay and the trailer stuff, it's like, oh, so this is where all the passion and creativity went to for Mario the last, 6 years.
Yeah, this is the most ambitious Mario game we've seen since Galaxy 1, I would say. Like,
yeah.
And,
yeah.
Like, it's just so goddamn good.
They brought back Pauline.
Oh, dude, Mayor Pauline is so fantastic. It's like, where's the Mayor Pauline amiibo, Nintendo? All right, like...
All I asked for New Donk City is that there be a construction site with orange girders that I can jump around with and then place the 25 meters thing.
Dude,
well, there are girders.
First off, the 25 meters theme is, like, I heard it kind of...
I know, it's in there, but...
Well, it's also part of the background theme in the vocal track, where they're going, like, Odyssey, yes, 3, the background beat is... It's awesome. Oh, I love... It's...
I'd be very surprised if Donkey Kong didn't make an appearance. I feel like, if they're bringing back Pauline, if they're hiding Donkey Kong music in the theme song, if they're calling it even New Donk City, I get the feeling he's going to appear at some point.
What if you
I don't
can
know.
capture Donkey Kong and be Donkey Kong as Mario?
Well, my brother brought up a thing about the capture ability because he saw it and he thinks that he hasn't played a Mario game in years, but he said, "Why does Odyssey look so amazing?" I was like, "I know, right?" But he says, why does Mario just throw the hat at Bowser? That's the end of the game.
No, because Bowser's wearing his own hat. You can't put a hat on top of another hat.
What if that actually happens,
plan.
though? Because there's enemies where you throw the hat, then knock off the hat, and then you throw the hat again, and then you can do it. What if you actually can capture Bowser, like in the final boss, and then you jump off the cliff or something?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
If that's actually the secret, you have to expose some kind of his, let's say he's in some kind of tank or something. You have to open it up, throw the hat at him, and then you have to walk him into bombs or something.
So long, Gaby.
Oh, but yeah, this looks like not only one of the best Mario games in years, but one of the best 3D platformers of all time. Like, I don't think I've been this excited for a Mario game in ever. Basically.
A long time, yeah.
Like, I don't...
It is a logical progression
of what Sunshine and 64 were trying to do.
Of what's... I would say just 64, because...
Yeah.
I mean, we have the capture ability, which can lead to a lot of possible alternative means of exploring worlds, but it is a full-scale 3D adventure. It is not as linear as Galaxy. There looks to be many different means of getting these moons now, which are essentially the power stars.
Yeah, and you don't get bumped out of the level anymore. So it took them 20 years, but Super Mario finally borrowed the aspect of Banjo-Kazooie that unequivocally was just better.
Or Jack and Daxter.
And they got rid of lives.
Yep.
There are no lives in this game.
Finally.
Yeah, you just lose 10 coins, which is a pretty honestly, considering how many coins I saw lying around in the previews, like, that's not much of a penalty, but at least there's no more lives. So,
Yeah.
thank God for that.
I can dress Mario up in a suit.
America Mario.
Dude, Sombrero Mario.
No, America Mario.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be rocking the NES Golf Mario as soon as I'm able to get it.
Dude, the Super Mario Maker outfits in the game.
Yeah, I mean that's great, but come on, man. Like I need my Living in America Mario.
There's so many callouts in the costumes though. There's the Explorer outfit, which is actually a reference to Mario's Picross on the Game Boy, and the chef outfit from Yoshi's Cookie, of all things. It's like they're like
all references to stuff.
They're also, and again, they're referencing Donkey Kong, which they normally don't do in the mainline series. So it feels like this is a much better love letter to Mario's past games than something like 3D World, where it's just like, okay, we're gonna go through. It's gonna be just like the old games. It feels like this is new, but it's still calling back to those old stuff, which I feel is much more interesting.
Which I'm hoping they do more with that, besides the fact that we talk about maybe Donkey Kong making an appearance.
Yeah, like maybe one of the worlds can be Yoshi's Island or something.
Well, that or, yeah, because a big theme of the game is that you're traveling all across the entire world. Well, what's to say that Mario doesn't take a small visit to Yoshi's Island or Sarasa Land? Maybe have
or
Princess Daisy in a
Kingdom.
mainline Mario game.
Which by the way, for the lyrics of the game, references the cancel second CDI game. Yeah, they call it. They say Big Wide Wacky Worlds, and the second CDI Mario game was called Super Mario's Wacky World, where he travels around the globe to different quote unquote real life locations. So yeah, I like to think this is actual Super Mario's Wacky Worlds.
Only good this time.
Yes. So how about those wedding amiibo?
Oh, dude, I want to marry Bowser so bad.
No. I like it when people remove Peach one entirely, just have Mario and Bowser holding hands and stuff with them.
I can recreate that scene in Super Mario RPG.
Yeah. Also, wedding cake toppers as soon as they come out.
Oh no, it's definitely happening for some sad nerds out there, and yeah.
Ted, you shouldn't be so discriminating against yourself.
Oh,
okay?
no, probably. If I ever do get married, they're probably going to be on there. But
you're going to have two Bowsers.
Oh, probably yes. Also,
I love you, Bowser. I love you too, Bowser.
Also, like, why piranha plants for the bouquet? Like
because they're evil.
That'll hurt her.
It's Bowser's screwed up wedding.
Yeah. And apparently the main villain, quote unquote, is this evil wedding planner called Brutal.
Yeah, those are all the bunnies from the trailer.
Yeah. Which I was hoping for the Runaway Guys' wedding boutique Waluigi was the main villain as a result.
Well, they announced that other amiibo are going to be working the game, so I'm wondering if we're going to get like amiibo exclusive costumes. If that's the
Waluigi
case,
costume.
Like, if you could get like a Wario costume or a Waluigi costume, that would be phenomenal. Like, oh my god, that would make me so happy.
Apparently it works with every single amiibo, so
yes.
Sonic costume, here we go. Sonic Adventure 3, here we are!
No. He does have a spin dash in this game.
Oh yeah, this is happening!
Fits.
Woohoo! Come on, you a big
totally fits.
Where are you going?
What good is a world that goes on forever? Mario, I think we need to consider your priorities. You're a fucking monster, Mario.
But I haven't even dressed up as the robot yet.
Oh, so if Shadow rides a motorcycle in his game, it's too edgy. But Mario rides a motorcycle.
It's not a motorcycle. It's a Vespa. Those are lame.
Yeah.
So by being more lame, he's being more cool than Sonic, huh?
Can you see all of me?
It just looks
This
so
game.
good.
I'm just glad we have an actual release date.
Oh, October too. It's earlier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, getting it day one, and I'm just playing it all night.
It'll be my top Halloween game for the year.
Like
that will be when I get my Switch. Absolutely.
Like it's one of those things where like a week ago you were to tell me to guess the release date for Mario Odyssey, I would have told you like November 20 something this year. But it's like a whole month before that.
Yeah, right by Black Friday or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be there in time for the Black Friday rush for sure, but it's also like a month earlier than I expected, which means which makes me feel like it's not going to get delayed, which is like the big thing for me. It's just like,
No, it can't get delayed because it has a release date now.
Yeah.
They have no choice.
like maybe like a week if there's some weird thing that happens, but like this isn't getting pushed to 2018. This is coming out.
Well, they
this
don't.
year.
Again, they don't have a choice with it being the Switch's first year. They have to have something like Mario there.
Yeah, but also the Wii U needed something like that, and those kinds of games got delayed for that too, which was part of the system's problem, to be fair. But it's just like, okay, this is definitely happening that day, and that makes me so happy. Is Mario Odyssey?
My favorite Mario.
You go first.
Go on, Clement.
My favorite Mario game is Mario Galaxy. That was a game that really caught me by surprise. I went into it hoping it was going to be good, but I didn't expect it to be like my favorite Mario game ever after I played it.
That was basically my experience too, dude. Like,
yeah. And this trailer just has, it gives me so much hope that this is going to be so much better than Galaxy, and if that's the case, then this will be my favorite Mario game ever.
Yeah, I'm like not lying here. I'm pretty much on the same boat. Like I'm still kind of an old decrepit curmudgeon fuck, where like my favorite Mario game is still like Mario World.
Hells yeah!
But I at least, but you know, I like to like break them up at least in 2D and 3D. Like 2D, my favorite is Mario World, but 3D it's still Galaxy. But this this trumps them all. Like this is I'm hoping this trumps them all because there is so many things right going on in this trailer.
And the gameplay we've seen,
the large scale exploration, the fact that there are many ways to do a lot of things, the fact that Mario is still Mario at the end of the day, the exorcisms and everything.
Throw your hat on the frog and you become the frog.
You become the frog. Yeah, I know. I love that fucking thing. I saw. Fucking Microsoft is spouting 4K and all that shit, and Sony is dead of war. I love that. This is looking like such a fantastic game. To me, it was the highlight for E3 for me. Despite the fact that we already knew about it beforehand.
Yeah, it was.
This
it's
trailer.
one of the. I think that trailer is one of the best game trailers I've ever watched. It was phenomenal. Like I can just copy and paste what you two guys just said, and it applies 100% to me. It's going to be a phenomenal game, I hope. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Glad we all agree.
We should do like a double commentary of Odyssey and Sonic Forces just to really piss everybody off.
Oh, man. So here's the thing about Nintendo had some announcements that got me really, really stoked. Mario Odyssey, Kirby, Metroid. But overall, I still don't think it was an A+ conference. Because, like, there was some stuff, like, there was some filler, like, Breath of the Wild and Rabbids. There's some stuff that I'm really shaky on, like Fire Emblem and Xenoblade. And some stuff that we could just kind of assume, like Pokemon. So, like, I mean, the stuff that I liked, I really, really liked. But there was definitely some stuff that I would have... It's definitely was still a bit sparse. And some stuff that was just kind of unimpressive, like Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah, I agree. Despite the fact that like the 2 or 3 bombshells, mostly coming from Nintendo's side, it to me it doesn't redeem the entire thing. It was still pretty meandering 2, 3
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
There are a
redeem
few
all of
miscellaneous
E3.
things we still have to talk about, but
Yeah. What's listed here is Undertale getting ported to PS4.
Untitled coming to consoles, which is really weird. I'm wondering how they're going to handle certain elements of the game.
Yeah, doesn't the
with that
game
in
like
mind.
crash itself or things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game really does something with the PC, and like, how is that going to affect genocide routes and all that sort of shit? And like, it'd be very. I'm interested in seeing how they're going to work around.
Oh,
that.
and doesn't the game also like permanently tag your save file if you do certain things?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And
like,
the game, like
when you finish
at least on
route.
PC, you can undo that. Is the thing like you can?
Right.
I don't think you can really do that for as easily on a console or so.
No. Everything would have to be relegated to a save file.
Yeah.
Which means you can easily delete a save file and just start over.
Yeah, so
again.
it'll. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I still haven't played Undertale, but like, I mean, it just being on consoles, I think, is just good for people in general, so it has a wider audience.
Like, yeah, I agree.
And I'm sure like half of the sales are going to be people double dipping because it's that kind of game. But
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Plus, it's going to have a physical copy and stuff. Like, I'm definitely going to be picking up that PS4 physical copy, which apparently comes with a locket that plays one of the songs in the game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. That's good for Undertale fans.
Can we talk about that weird ass sushi game that got announced yesterday?
Oh, you mean the Match 3 thing?
Yeah, like...
Because yeah, Nintendo, bored housewives who already have Bejeweled are totally going to go pick up a 3DS now because of that.
I just... Like, they were like, okay, we're going to announce something for 3DS, you won't expect it, and everybody's like, okay, does that mean that we're going to see something like Codename Steam 2? Does that mean we're going to see something like Kid Icarus? And no, it's whatever the fuck that was. And I remember looking at that trailer, and I wasn't even sure if I was sober.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is this?
So I just wanted to bring that out there.
I mean, it also didn't help that Bill Trinan tweeted out that they were going to be announcing something that you should definitely go watch the Treehouse in the next, 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, Bill's kind of a troll.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring that up because that was probably my number one WTF moment for the entire conference. Sonic. Now with Mephiles' dorky brother. I love your notes, dude. They're fantastic.
There's a lot more gameplay shown off during E3. We got to see the boss of the classic Green Hill level, which is Eggman.
So here we have this giant
the
enemy
ball and
crab.
chain. Well, I wasn't even talking about that.
Yeah,
That's the custom character. I was talking
Yeah,
about
the ball and chain.
He
again.
has the ball and chain. Yeah, and then he pops out in the Egg Dragoon, and you fight the Egg Dragoon again.
Dude, I'm not sure how I feel about Egg Dragoon being relegated to an act, like a Zone 1 boss.
Yeah, it was a really easy boss, too. He just had to jump into the rocks, and then that was it.
Yeah. It's fucking Koala Kong from Crash 1.
Just as a side thing, speaking of Crash Cook, is now playable in all their games.
Yeah, well, just to go back, just to finish up with Forces real quick, the idea that the villains of the game, they brought back Chaos.
Yes, you got Shadow, Metal Sonic, Chaos, and
doesn't-
that one guy from Lost World nobody likes.
Sonic Bowser.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't miss. I even got his damn name.
Zavik.
Zavik.
He was
Yeah.
not
Okay,
interesting
whatever.
at all. But
Yeah.
like honestly, like I didn't really feel anything when I saw the old villains get. It was kind of just exasperating my same problem where it's just like, okay, we're gonna call back to old stuff again. And that's my big issue with Sonic Forces as a whole, is just like, okay, if we're going to have Sonic Mania be our callbacky game, and I have issues with that game bringing back old zones, but you can't talk bad about Sonic Mania because then I get lynched. But if that's going to be your throwbacky nostalgia game, why are we also doing it in Forces? I don't really get it.
To me, like this lineup of villains doesn't have as much impact as I think they would want it to, because I mean, when you break it down, it's generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Metal Sonic was a
Shadow
boss
was a
in
boss.
that game. You fought Shadow in that boss. You fought Perfect Chaos.
Well, no, Chaos
in that
can
game.
it'd be fine, because if we're going by normal Chaos instead of perfect Chaos, that can lead to different
Chaos
things. So.
Zero
It's still Chaos, though.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Also,
you know,
close up on
and,
Chaos,
you know,
close
this
up on
is a- this
Chaos'
is a
face.
game-
Knuckles, do your damn
this-
job.
You know, this is a game. This is a game that's past Sonic Lost World, so of course they're bringing back
Yeah.
Zavik. I don't think anybody asked for him. And the main bad guy, what's his name? Infinite, I think it was.
Yeah, fanfiction dude with blocks.
Well, I mean, well, come on, you gotta follow up with an OC villain if you're gonna have an OC character.
Granted.
Uh,
I don't know. It felt kind of half-assed, I think, is the thing. I don't know. Something about Forces
yeah,
just seems
it
off.
checks a box off a list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all. You know, which is you know, I'm not gonna hamp too much about it because I don't play a Sonic game for plot.
I don't know, but the plot is more prevalent in Sonic than most other mascot platformers, I'd say, other than like maybe Jak and Daxter or...
Yeah, but let's say if I'm revisiting SA1 or SA2, it ain't the fucking story I'm going back
Yeah,
for.
but it is what attaches us to these characters, I guess, and it's just like, okay, why the hell is Shadow bad now? Like, at least in Generations, there was some time travel shenanigans going on. It's just like, okay, why is Shadow bad now? Like, aren't we past...
You spilled his
aren't we
coffee.
aren't we past this? Like, aren't all of these people just misunderstood characters anyway? Like, you know what's gonna happen. They're all gonna be like you're gonna smack them upside the head. They're gonna have the sense knocked into them, and then they're gonna help you fight the final boss, which is going to be OC Man.
No, someone posted tweeted me a hand-drawn comic about that. It's like classic Sonic. It's like, dude, isn't that one of our friends? And it just goes to widescreen. It's like, Shadow, what the hell, dude?
Like, I mean, if I trusted them to actually write a decent story, they might have had something interesting to do with Shadow as a villain. Because he's like the only one of those characters that I care about out of everyone, because of course he is, because I'm me.
Make a Boom Shadow.
No, that would...
Boom Shadow had some quippy one-liners.
That would have them acknowledge that Boom exists, and they're not going to do that, because...
Because I never in my life would I ever think Shadow would ever say, "Your shoddy craftsmanship brings shame to all of hedgehog kind." That is an actual line from Sonic Boom, the animated series, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's definitely, they'll say in interviews all they want. It's not Generations 2. It's not Generations 2.
It's Generations 2.
It's Generations 2. Let's be real.
And if you had said that, like, 4 years ago, I'm sure we would all be singing a different tune, I think, as well. But I think we've all moved on a little bit from wanting that kind of game.
Well, no, not even... I would disagree with that, because I've been saying since Generations 1 that next time, let's be a little more original. I understand Generations being an anniversary game, so I'll let it slide. And to their credit, Generations 1 I think was a decent game. It's a great game even. But if it were like Generations 2 immediately afterwards, like okay, hold on a second. that well is pretty much dried up at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, but they did do 2 very poorly done Sonic games afterwards, so I'm okay with going back to what works.
Well, yeah, because now they have to reestablish that base. Which, to be fair, is looking good at the very least with Mania and this game, which is going back to a gameplay style that works. We can only hope that after Forces, that whatever they attempt to do next time will actually have some staying power instead of just fucking flipping their shit again like they did with Lost World.
And do you think that's going to actually happen?
Probably not.
Probably not, but I don't know. Because I like to think that because reception has been so fucking positive for Mania, and because, people, not to put down Forces, there are plenty of people are excited for the game. It's just that I hope that they realize that it's not, it's because people would just want to have a good Sonic game again,
Yeah.
I don't care about fucking never mind. I can go on a whole fucking rant about this sort of shit, but this video is already going long enough.
I just think with Forces, like, they've only shown the first level so far, and I hope that, like, the future levels are not so nostalgified. Like, we don't need another Egg Dragoon rehash. We don't need another reused thing. Like, that crab boss, okay, the gameplay where you're just dodging things while running away, that's similar. We've done that in Sonic before, but, at least that was a new thing.
So here we have this giant enemy crab.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope Forces is great. I assume it's going to be better than Lost World and Boom. Yeah, but... And I say this as a guy who likes Lost World, the Wii U version. But,
well, congratulations, you're wrong.
But, yeah, I hope for the best. That's all I got.
I mean, I'm not hoping it sucks. It's just I can't assume it'll be good. Like, again, it's kind of hard to compare Sonic Forces when, like, the other big 3D platformer on the show floor is fucking Super Mario Odyssey, and that looks like one of the best.
You throw your hat at the frog,
and you become the frog. It's just like, everybody looks at that trailer and is saying, okay, that game's going to be awesome. You can't assume that with Sonic Forces. You can hope, but you can't assume. And it's a big difference, I think. So that affects me personally and how my relationship to the game pre-launch is going to play out. So,
But you should look forward to the holiday commentary.
Of course we are. And of course Gareth and everyone else are going to be here.
We're going to one-up our game and have 15 different commentators, including a custom commentator, which you can make yourself as the viewer.
What are we going to do? Get Microsoft Sam in here?
Get Microsoft Sam, exactly. I was thinking that myself.
Right here at youtube.com/BrainScratchComs.
So anyway,
that's about it, really.
Well, there was two other small things. They're remaking Mario Superstar Saga
I'm cool with
in the
that.
Dreamland.
Great.
That's neat.
I'm
I
cool with
guess
that, yeah.
I don't care about Mario and Luigi, but that's cool. Honestly, I feel like they should have shown Superstar Saga and Metroid: Samus Returns in the actual.
Yeah, I would
spotlight
agree
itself.
there. I think for best shock factor, where after the Pokemon, they did a trailer for Return of Samus Returns.
And then they showed the Prime 4
and then as
logo.
soon as that trailer comes out, it goes to space and it does the screw attack logo with a 4 on it.
Yeah. Like, imagine people already flipped their shit, but imagine like they get a full Metroid game reveal, and then they get the announcement that okay,
We're making
Metroid
Prime 4. We're making Prime 4.
and I think that it would have had people. I think it would have had some people who were a little bit skeptical about okay, they're just showing a title card. It would have, I think, calmed that skepticism a bit if it followed the actual game announcement as opposed to preceded the actual game announcement. Because it's like, okay, we're getting Metroid now and later, as opposed to we're getting Metroid later. Oh, but don't worry, there's another game coming out soon. Don't go away yet, please, please, please. It's how you present these things is important. And Superstar Saga is definitely a bigger game than to a lot of people than like Mario and Rabbids. So
Yeah.
I feel like that could have fit in somewhere in there as well. The only thing else listed here is Coco being playable in all 3 Crash games.
Which is nice to have.
Yeah, but that game's also coming out pretty soon, isn't it?
2
like
weeks.
Next week?
Yeah.
2 weeks? Okay.
2 weeks.
So, yeah.
Yeah, a nice little. I'm down with that. I like the idea, and I love just how adorable they make.
Yeah,
Coco.
she's a total goof in this game. In these games,
Yeah, she's total goofball. She definitely has traits of her brother. Like,
Yeah.
with all
you can
the
play as
shit she
Coco in
does.
Crash 2.
I
The
love
quest
that.
for the computer battery.
Yeah, it's like Crash. My battery is like, okay, you battery your fucking self. All right, fine. It's like, all right, shit called my bluff.
That's the kind of addition that I think a remake like this really benefits from. Because it looks to be pretty faithful otherwise. So adding something that you can only do by bundling all 3 games together, I think makes a lot of sense. And it's just like, okay, like this is something that doesn't make... It's like a Knuckles and Sonic 1 kind of thing. Or I guess that technically didn't exist. So it's like a Knuckles and Sonic 2 kind of thing. Where it's just like,
Yeah.
man, this isn't canon, but it's cool to see happen,
It's also one of those weird things where the reception to the Crash Insane trilogy has been very positive, so it actually kind of surprised me that Sony didn't try to announce we don't know if there really is one or not, because they're just not ready to show it, but, they didn't try to announce a Spyro one, because I think that's what everyone was saying. Well, okay, this is doing really well, why not make a Spyro one, too, then?
I think by next year we may.
Yeah,
Activision owns both properties now, don't they?
yes.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm of the... that's why I'm just a little confused more than anything, because wouldn't be surprised if it does happen and it just wasn't ready to be shown.
I feel like Spyro would be the kind of game that might need a lot more time for polish than Crash. Not that it's any like better or worse than a game. It's just different. They're more
Yeah.
open-ended, so there's more. I think it would take a little bit more time to.
Yeah, no, not
to-
disagreeing there. I'm just a little bit surprised that after how well reception-wise and people are talking about it, that they didn't kind of immediately jump on that.
I think that they're waiting for sales figures. Might be the big thing. Like they might. The sales figures might determine whether or not they go full steam ahead or if it goes into the back burner.
Potentially,
Kind
I
of
guess, yeah.
Because I'm sure people at Activision are already talking about it, for sure. I'm just not sure whether or not it's a real thing yet, if people are working on it, if it's just something they're talking about. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know that that's the big thing people want, though. So,
Yeah.
and I mean,
We'll see.
it should happen. It should happen. I will say that as well. But
Yeah. So is there anything else that happened during E3 that we want to talk about?
I've realized that this is the first time in a really long time that we've gone for less than 4 hours about a E3. So, I mean, we're still at like, what, 3:45, which is still a really long goddamn time.
Yeah.
And my throat's hurting.
But
but
yeah, just a general impression is that this was kind of an E3 that just was here.
it
Yeah.
wasn't impressive overall. Even, like, I think it was exasperated by, like, Sony didn't really have anything new to show. I'm excited about, like, Kirby and Mario Odyssey, but a lot of the other stuff from Nintendo was either very vague or, in some cases, like Fire Emblem, not impressive. And, yeah, just overall, it wasn't great. It was probably the weakest overall E3 in 3 or so years, I would have to say.
Yeah,
They just didn't have those bombshell announcements, you know. There was no big, crazy Final Fantasy VII reveal. There was no God of War reveal, you know. It was just kind of tame for the most part. It was like, oh, cool, nice Life is Strange coming out. That's all right. And then it was like, oh, Mario Odyssey looks fun. And, weird OC character designs in Sonic Forces. Okay.
You get those kind of years, though. Like, again, like...
Yeah. Like we were saying, I think maybe everyone kind of front-loaded their year, and now we have nothing to do in the second half besides Mario.
Yeah. Now what?
So the good news is that, by comparison, next year's E3 is going to be amazing.
Hopefully.
As long as... hopefully, yeah, that's...
Never forget 2008.
Oh, God. Was it just Nintendo that was terrible that year, or was everybody terrible?
Everyone was terrible that year.
Everyone.
Nintendo was just particularly bad because of Wii Music.
Because of Wii Music, okay.
Still waiting on the Vitality sensor.
It's not going to happen.
Shut up, Mom.
I'm still waiting for it, damn it.
So yeah, that was it. I guess we'll see you as far as E3 videos go next year for our pre-E3 2018.
18. Yeah.
You can never start preparing too early, guys.